Jonathan Taylor, there he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. I-N-D-Y.
The Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Friday. You made it all the way to the weekend. Maybe a lot of people are going to take a 3-day weekend with the nasty weather coming in. Maybe they do it on Monday. Maybe you just got to get up and slog through it like everybody else in our building is today. Good morning, James Boyd. Good morning, Kevin Bowen. Good morning, Mark Dykton. I know, James, you were saying, and I kind of agree with you at this point in time, I don't know that I'm built for the cold. It's like extreme, ultra cold anymore, man. I'll deal with it, but I don't want it.
Look, I've been skinny for 30 years of life, so when this time of year comes around, I wish I had more meat on the bones, for insulation, as they say.
One of the things I love about Kevin Bowen, and I've noticed since it started to get cooler the last couple weeks, like you bundle up, man. You do a hoodie covered by a coat and a stocking cap and a hat on top of that. Like, I love the fact that you take no chances with the cold. You're not going to be cold.
A coat and a stocking cap. I don't know if that's bundling up, but
no, but you got layers upon layers is usually what you have. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I feel like he peels a couple off throughout the show. Might switch up the hat, about hour number 2.
Yeah, this hat I feel like has been around the Bowen family since I came out of the womb. So luckily,
is that your lucky Notre Dame hat?
Luckily, the yarn is doing quite well here. But yeah, it's going to be bitterly cold. Certainly check out. I'm sure I'm not breaking news by any means, but if you got any activities, particularly in the sports world for this weekend, I already see them, especially in the high school scene, tip times moving up. We'll have Greg Rakestraw on at 8 o'clock. City tournament, for example, semifinals. I know a lot of people always like to go out to Tech for that. They've bumped that up to noon and 2 tomorrow. So anything Saturday night, if you do have anything on Sunday, there's probably a good chance it will be moved if it hasn't been moved already.
James, I'm just curious. Are you going to be checking out? I know it's cold outside. You going to check out any of those tournament games?
Not sure just yet. I got to get my life together after the show, probably do some grocery shopping, load up, and prepare for the cold in the winter. Storm is what they call it coming in. So we'll see what happens after that.
Mark Dykton, you're a Chicagoland guy. You're no stranger to cold and bitter wind and all those kinds of things. You strike me as right up until the very end, you and the girls just going to be outside playing in it, right?
Hell no, I'm not going out there. I'll stand at the screen door and you guys want to come in now? And I'd probably get in here.
It's probably how it works. Here's what we know from our friend Marcus Bailey over at Wish TV. He does the forecast for our sister station WIBC every morning. Cold weather advisory through Saturday morning. Winter storm warning Saturday and Sunday. Today, bitter cold with a high of 12. That's before you even get into wind chill stuff. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 3. Then tomorrow, if you're going to go down to Bloomington for that rally, layer up. Cloudy afternoon and evening snow showers, the high around 13. Sunday, they say heavy snow, total accumulation of 7 to 10 inches with a high of 16. And then Monday, it's still cold, but it starts to dry up a little bit. Tuesday, mostly sunny. Really gets warm then, Kevin, up to 24 degrees.
Yeah, so we could certainly be looking at some cancellations. I guess a good week for Pacers to be on the road, and honestly, a good week for Butler and Purdue to be a little bit earlier in the weekend calendar. Let's give away another 4-pack here, maybe 2, Mark Dykton on the text line, 317-239-1070. A checkered out inside of Hinkle tonight. Alexander Rossi, Louis Foster, I believe, in the building, Renus VK, as they do this Indy 500 theme every year. So Butler Marquette, that is 8 o'clock inside of Hinkle, 317-239-1070. So again, you'll get Butler tonight at home. You'll get IU on the road at 6 o'clock. That is at Rutgers. And then tomorrow, I think one of the more anticipated games, certainly so far, the Big Ten slate, Purdue and Illinois inside of Mackey Arena. That is 3 o'clock. So I still think early enough to where, especially with the storm looking a little bit more south. But I'm really looking forward to that. If I'm going to be trapped inside, you give me Purdue and Illinois Saturday afternoon, sign me up for that. So that should be a really good game and an important game, obviously, for Purdue after losing that one out at UCLA.
Yeah, and we got all kinds of college basketball, as you talked about, coming up this weekend, and Championship Sunday. So, look, if you're going to be trapped inside, this is probably not a bad weekend to do it, James.
Not bad if you're a sports fan or if you want to catch up on something else, perhaps non-sports related. I'm sure there's plenty of shows out there as well.
So there's plenty going on there. And again, the Pacers, as Kevin pointed out, going to be playing later on tonight. They will be in Oklahoma City. And once again, Quentin Jackson questionable. Obviously, he's been dealing with something. And the hits, maybe it's every team, but certainly not to the level the Pacers have had. The hits just keep on coming, Kevin. You never know. It feels like Pascal Siakam seems to be the only guy that night in, night out, all season long just brings it, other than maybe they give him a night off.
Yeah, I mean, the Benedict Mathurin thumb injury continues, so he will not play tonight. You know, Rick Carlisle acted like potentially on this road trip. There's only one left. That would be Monday with the Hawks. So that means you are 5 games away from the trade deadline. And we haven't seen Benedict Mathurin play in several weeks now. So, you know, that I think is a storyline. And I don't know how you guys feel, but when I saw the Thunder pop back up on the schedule, I still can't stop thinking about it. I don't know if you guys are overseeing it or if like it doesn't have the visceral reaction. And honestly, I think I've stopped thinking as much about like Game 7. I keep on going back to Game 4 and the what ifs. And if you finish off that game,
you take control and maybe close it out soon.
I don't think there is a Game 7.
Yeah.
If I'll be honest with you, that's a 3-1 lead. And I think you finish that off in Game 6. So I can hear some parental human in my life saying, get over it, Kevin, but sorry.
I think the door closed for me during the season opener and then watching SGA drop 55 in double overtime and they still win. It's like, well, this team just kind of has your number and it is what it is. And honestly, I don't really count these as rematches, I guess, Kevin, until number 0 is back out there. We need this is like going to a fight without your big brother. You got to call in some backup, man. We need our big brother with us.
Well, and they're missing, you know, I think it's Jalen Williams, Caruso, and Hartenstein. So it's like, I in no way, shape, or form am I all of a sudden going to, you know, get on the couch tonight at 8 o'clock and be like, oh, yeah, here we go, you know. It's revenge tour, but, boy, I just think about you're up 4. Remember that 3 Shea hit late in the shot clock in Game 4? I thought
you were going to bring up the controversial travel, not travel
there on the baseline.
Well, a little chicken wing he gave Aaron Nesmith.
And boy, the Pacers had chances. I mean, the Pacers had chances at the end of that game. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe give me the full 12 months to get over it.
Do you really get over something like that, though, as a sports fan? I don't know that you ever really get over it.
Yeah, no, that's probably the easy answer. I mean, hell, I still think of the Bush game every other hour, which hopefully Maddie doesn't hear me say that out loud. No, you don't, because I think in this market, that's the elusive title. Like, I think for the majority of our audience, if we polled everybody, that's the one. Like, you know, Indiana winning a football title obviously is unfreaking believable, but you didn't have the near misses. You didn't have the excruciating moments. You didn't have Jordan and LeBron being the last, you know, roadblock in getting to those moments there, those opportunities. So I think that's it. You guys catch any of Senor Mendoza on Mr. Fallon last night?
I did not.
This morning. Checked it out this morning. We may hear a little bit of that a little bit later on. He's just fun. He's fun to listen to. He just comes out and he does his thing. I like that. He's throwing the footballs and breaking the records, but I like it. We'll hear his description of the running play on 4th and 5 where he scores a touchdown, which was fantastic.
He compared it to an exit ramp.
And Google Maps.
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon ended the it was about a 3 or 4 minute segment with Fernando Mendoza where he was throwing records up in the air. It was like almost like I feel like I was watching like the outdoor games, shooting discs like that. That's what Mendoza had to do there. It looked like a state fair activity as Mendoza was rifling footballs at the record disc there. It was very impressive to watch.
Yeah,
Mendoza trying to make contact with them.
Hit most of them, didn't he? Seemed like it.
He joked there that was his combine workout, which we'll see here in a month if he actually works out at the combine. Typically, number 1 overall picks do not work out at the combine.
But man, wouldn't you love to hear his interviews? Those would be classic, don't you think? The team interviews?
It'll be interesting to see if the NFL teams who we know, they're psychotic in these interviews. Do any of them flip it on Mendoza? Do they think he's too quirky?
I'm sure there's people that's going to ask that question for sure.
Yeah. Andrew Luck retired at 29. This guy gives me Andrew Luck vibes. I know it sounds crazy, but NFL teams, I mean, James, you know this full well. They ask some dudes wild stuff.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to bring that up. We have a summit every year, Kevin, before the NFL Combine starts. When I say summit, I mean the athletic. And we get to brainstorm questions that we want to ask for the anonymous survey. And I should probably make that one of the questions. What's the wildest thing you've been asked during a pre-draft interview? Because I'm sure the responses would be all over the map.
Sure. And I think the quarterback position, it's almost tenfold just because.
I mean, they're going back to your second grade teacher.
Right. And
Figure out who you are.
The leadership elements of that position and all of it. So, yeah, Mendoza on Fallon last night, and I think he's making some of the morning show rounds this morning here. So, and then I assume he's back in Bloomington for the celebration that is still on. We haven't moved anything, even with the weather.
I checked with the news department this morning, and John Herrick, who will be there, said still on, still going. So that's where we're at right now, despite how cold it'll be. And I will give you all the details on that coming up in just a minute. You go back to Mendoza, though, and being drafted. I was watching something yesterday. There are a lot of analysts that feel like, does Tom Brady see something of himself in Fernando Mendoza?
Perhaps so, but then Fernando can tell him, well, I won the Heisman and national championship, something you never did. So obviously I'm on a greater trajectory so far in my career, Mr. Brady.
Yeah, I'm on pace for 8 Super Bowl wins. Let's go.
I ain't say all that now, but he's off to a good start and doesn't really get much better when it comes to raising your stock before the NFL draft. I did want to mention this on a more serious note before we hit the break, and we'll probably mention it again during the check down, but for the early listeners, the Indianapolis Colts yesterday said they were aware of an investigation that the FBI apparently is doing into the death of former team owner Jim Irsay. This came after a report from the Washington Post that an investigation is ongoing, apparently, about what happened to Mr. Irsay. He did die last May in 2025. So that is certainly something that was not on my bingo card yesterday, but it sounds like they want to take a closer look at him. Or not him, I'm sorry, his death and the doctor that was overseeing his care before he perished.
We'll have some more details on that coming up in the check down as well. Lots to do today. We got Greg Rakestraw stopping by at 8 o'clock. Can't wait to talk to Greg again about his thoughts and observations of Indiana winning a national title this past week. And a look ahead, not only the championship weekend, but just some of those city tournaments as well. So lots to do. Glad you've decided to join us this morning. We'll be here all day. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
checked out. Brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
Happy Friday. Lots going on this weekend as we get ready for championship games in the National Football League on Sunday. More on that coming up in a minute. But news breaking yesterday, and James mentioned it a moment ago, the FBI is looking into the death of Colts owner Jim Irsay. According to a report in the Washington Post, the FBI issued a federal grand jury subpoena earlier this month seeking records related to Irsay's death, his alleged use of illegal and prescription drugs, and his relationship with Dr. Harry Haroutunian, a California-based addiction specialist who treated him before his death. Again, according to the Washington Post, investigators also spent several days here in Indianapolis earlier this month as part of the inquiry. Colts say they're aware of it, but don't have anything to add at this moment in time. We'll keep an eye on that for you. College football, the IU championship celebration continues. It'll be held tomorrow at 1 p.m. at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington. The weather forecast is looking a little rugged right now. It's going to be very cold, but as of right now, it is on and scheduled to open up the parking lots at 10 o'clock. I think they'll open up the gates about 12:30. We will air it live here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan beginning at 12:45. You can listen to it here and get some of that. The cold weather advisory continues through Saturday morning, a winter storm warning from Saturday through Sunday. Today, it's going to be partly cloudy, bitterly cold with a high of 12. Tomorrow, afternoon and evening snow showers. So hopefully, KB, the worst of it comes way after they're done at about 1:30, 1:45 tomorrow.
Yeah, and again, we're getting a lot already on the high school front, cancellations, things moved up, so certainly keep an eye out on all that. Just saw Zach Osterman covers IU Athletics for the Star. Foregone conclusion here. Fernando Mendoza officially declaring the NFL draft. I believe D'Angelo Pons did the same yesterday. So certainly one of the best players in this run over the last 2 years, and Mr. Pons.
All right, so that'll be exciting for him, and I think we'll see a little bit more of that as time goes on. We'll also tell you we will have a replay again of the College Football Playoff Championship game at 1 o'clock on Sunday. So our coverage continues tomorrow at 12:45 for the rally, and then a replay of the game on Sunday afternoon at 1 here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Later on tonight on the station, we bring you NBA basketball. The Pacers taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. That'll be in OKC. 7:30 airtime, 8 o'clock tip here on The Fan. Quentin Jackson questionable for that one, and still doesn't look like Benedict Matherin's going to be back anytime soon with that thumb, right?
Well, I don't know about anytime soon, but he's not going to play tonight. Massive underdog, the Pacers in this one, 15.5 points. Shea is doing Shea things for the Thunder here, and this is game, 4, I believe, of the 5-game road trip at Atlanta to conclude it on Monday for the Pacers.
Rick Carlisle is saying that, Pascal Siakam's done everything anybody could ask. He's been carrying this team almost single-handedly, definitely deserves to get an all-star nod.
Everything, just the level of play, the leadership, the way, the durability. He plays every game. I mean, we held him out 2 games. There was a game in Golden State, was second out of a back-to-back coming out of maybe Denver, and then the second one was the Detroit game. Coming out of the New Orleans game at home. So those are the only 2 games he missed, and it was a struggle to convince him to sit those games out. But he's played a high level. I think he's hit either 4 or 5 game-winning shots in a season that's been, obviously very difficult with the missed games and all that kind of stuff. So it's just, he's an ultimate professional, and he's a great player.
Rick Carlisle earlier this week here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan of the Morning Show with KB and James over there. And again, tonight, 7:30 airtime, 8 o'clock tip against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Tomorrow, tonight college basketball first. Butler hosting Marquette this evening over at Hinkle Fieldhouse. If you want to listen to it on the radio, that'll be on 92.7 FM Fuego. 7:30 airtime, 8 o'clock tip with Mark and Nick. And then Indiana plays at Rutgers, 6 p.m. early start tonight. You can hear that one on 93 WIBC. Tomorrow, Illinois plays at Purdue. You can watch that one on Fox, James. You can see your alma mater against Purdue at 3 p.m. on Fox tomorrow afternoon.
Let's get it done. Todd Meyer, get ready to take that L, brother.
And later on tonight, over at the Fishers Events Center, we've got a little Indy Ignite for their first match, home match of the season. Looking forward to that, Kevin.
Yeah, I thought it was tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
It is tomorrow.
Thank you.
Saturday night. The
I've got
Supernovas
my dates mixed up.
of
Thank you.
Omaha there. So, yeah, should be a great atmosphere. Was able to go to the home opener last year, and it was an awesome time out there, Fishers Event Center. Man, what a time to be alive where you've got Indiana Rutgers tonight, 6 o'clock. Who would have thought that Rutgers has won 7 of the last 9 meetings with Indiana?
That's
Honestly, I wouldn't have guessed that until you told me, but looking back at it, it makes sense.
Like, since Rutgers has joined the Big Ten, they've beaten Indiana more than Indiana's beaten Rutgers in basketball.
That's just wrong, and yet the football team's the national champion. So
Yeah,
we're living in.
What a time!
we're living
Again,
in
like I
bizarro
said earlier
world.
in the week, they sacrificed the basketball program to have the football program be born. Which I don't know, maybe that's a win. Big games tonight. Just to hold serve. These are not like resume wins right now. If you look at it, Indiana and Butler both squarely on the bubble. These are not games that will necessarily significantly improve your resume. These are games, though, you just need to hold serve. So, again, big favorite on the road. Indiana Rutgers has been awful this season. And Marquette, surprisingly, has been really, really poor. So, important there. And obviously, tomorrow goes without saying how big that one is. One thing I'll add, Lou Anarumo officially interviewed with the Buffalo Bills yesterday. So, it seems like that's the lone opportunity still out there for Anarumo, with the Giants being filled with John Harbaugh, the Titans being filled with Robert Saleh. So we'll continue to monitor that as we, of course, have championship weekend. And Jesse Minter, the new head coach with the Baltimore Ravens. That is from the Jim Harbaugh tree, ironically enough. A little bit of a Michigan angle to that one. So, we've seen it with every opening. And, this is not breaking news by any means, but you typically just see a 180 from the previous head coach. Whether that's in age, whether that's in the side of the ball, that's pretty much been par for the course in all 5 of these openings now being filled.
All right, Championship Sunday coming your way in the National Football League at 6:30 p.m. The nightcap is a game I think most of the country's looking forward to. Rams and Seahawks. This I think could be an epic conference championship game, James.
The trilogy, right? I want to say they're 1-1 this season against each other, and the 2 games have been decided by less than 5 points. So if it continues that trend, yes, it'll be quite the matchup with a Super Bowl berth on the line.
Seahawks are favored by 2.5. That'll be on Fox TV at 3 in the afternoon. The first game, Patriots and Broncos, and the Broncos will be starting Jarrett Stidham at quarterback now that Bo Nix is out for the rest of the season. And how it's got to make a huge difference, right? But every single time the Broncos and Patriots have played in a conference championship, the home team has won. So I think this might be I'd give the edge to New England, Kevin, but this could be closer than people think it's going to be just with the quarterback situation.
Well, if there's a defense that out there that could carry, a full team, it's certainly Denver's defense. Granted, New England's defense has been outstanding here in these 2 playoff games. So, yeah, I feel like championship weekend's kind of taking the backseat here in our news cycle, but looking forward to it, especially if we're going to be snowed in.
All right, that's what's happening in the world of sports. We'll keep going throughout the morning with some other stories as well. Right now, we're going to hear a little bit of Fernando Mendoza with Jimmy Kimmel Live coming up in just a moment as we continue on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, it's Mark, and these temperatures are no joke, folks. So it's freezing already. It's going to get worse this weekend, and on top of who knows how much snow we're actually going to get. This is the time your furnace and heating system is going to get taxed beyond belief, and you need to get the most out of it. You have to make sure you and your family are safe from the frigid temps and making sure other stuff like pipes in your house aren't freezing. That's why I trust Love Heating and Air Conditioning for any and all of my HVAC concerns. They took care of me and my family a couple of years ago, swapping out our 2-decade-old system with brand new Heil equipment, and we've had zero issues ever since, and they'll do the same for you. Don't delay. Give them a call today. 317-353-2141 is the phone number, or check them out, love-hvac.com if you want to check them out online. Talk to a customer service rep, set up a house call, check out all the products and services they provide, like the Heil system they installed at my house. You can also read customer reviews and go over financial options as well. John and Chris Love, they're fourth-generation owners. They'll make sure you're a satisfied customer, just like the Dykton household is. Plus, Love Heating and Air has been serving Indianapolis and Central Indiana, family-owned and operated for over a century. That number again, 317-353-2141, or check them out online, love-hvac.com.
To the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Happy Friday. Get your coat on, get your layers on. It's going to be a little cold over the next couple of days. We've got a lot of sports to watch indoors if you want to stay inside and do that. Plenty of things to go check out in the meantime as well. We've been talking about it all morning long. You said, Kevin, you had been to that opener for the Indy Ignite last year, right? They fill that building up. There's energy in that building when they play.
Yeah, great environment. I honestly, so much of the entertainment, is, from a marketing standpoint, but also just watching, high level volleyball in person. I'm not going to pretend like I've been to many high level volleyball matches, certainly in recent years here. And that was awesome to watch the intensity and, frankly, just how fast paced the game is. So, yeah, they, I believe, are 2-0 in the year. 2 road games so far, road matches. So they got the Supernovas tomorrow night inside of Fisher's Event Center. So should be a perfect night to spend indoors. To
the victors go the spoils, and all week long, folks from Indiana, whether it's Fernando Mendoza or Coach Signetti, it's Pons declaring for the draft. Everybody's starting to get their flowers and their love. Do you see Kurt Signetti has his own Coach Signetti's I Win Bowl at Chipotle now? Are you a Chipotle guy, James?
I'm not a Chipotle guy. I feel like when I was in college, they had like 2 or 3 callbacks for things that were not going on correctly at Chipotle, and I was just abandoning it. But for those who love it, I guess you can go out there and try to be coach.
I was surprised. I only bring it up because I looked at what the Kurt Cignetti I Win Bowl is. It's exactly my order. Exactly. It's very basic.
Sue him for copyright infringement.
No. He's the one that earned it. He won. I didn't. But yeah, it's a bowl of brown rice, chicken, black beans, and a side of guac. Pretty basic.
And you lead us in the
simple.
same fashion Kurt Cignetti leads the Indiana football program, right?
He might win a little bit more. Did you see Google actually changed his landing page to he wins?
Now, is that look, my hand is raised. I said the best thing about having kids is they have the same palate I do. So I am very happy about having kids because I can just eat their little third grade palates, and they're not even third graders yet. But boy, mac and cheese, Dino Nuggets, James Boyd, give it to me all. I will eat. Hell, are we gonna do Dunkaroos?
I think Dino Nuggets are a staple of American dietary right now.
I love Dunkaroos, but Jeff, is that really the order? Brown rice,
That's the
chicken,
order.
black beans. That's
Yeah.
it.
And the guac. Don't forget the guac.
I'm not
Side
gonna lie.
of guac,
I'm
right?
not gonna lie.
Yeah, but you put it in there and you make it part of it.
I'm
So,
not gonna lie. That
there's-
is trash.
There's no
I don't wanna
cheese.
eat that.
There's no lettuce. There's no veggies.
Yeah, I have put veggies in before. I don't care if they put lettuce in, but if that's the basic thing, I'm fine with that. A lot of protein and the guac, and I'm good.
Kurt, there's a lot of things in life you're
wow.
good at, and it's, coaching football is one of them. Making order to Chipotle ain't one of them. That's trash.
The
I'm not eating
headline,
that.
the headline on the Athletic, it says, "I tried Kurt Cignetti's Chipotle order. It should enter the transfer portal."
For real. Oh, I couldn't believe it. Like, you reading it off, and I'm like, that's it.
Now, is he Saban? Is this what he gets every day?
He says he eats it quite frequently.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah, every day, apparently.
Saban had the quote of, "I don't want to waste time thinking about lunch, so I just get the same thing every day."
I do think that's a real thing for
Dude,
coaches.
They are psychotic.
I think that's why they wear the same clothes. Like, I'm pretty sure if you open up Shane Steichen's closet at the Colts facility, and this goes for any coach in the NFL, you probably got 3 pairs of pants, 3 shirts, and you just wear the same stuff, and somebody just comes in and washes it and puts it right back there. Like, you could probably wear the same shirt for a month straight if you're an athlete or a coach, because you wear it, dump it, and someone washes it and puts it right back in your locker. You don't need any other clothes.
So I'm just curious, like with John Harbaugh now, he's coaching the New York Giants. He's spent 2 decades basically with the Ravens. Do you donate all of your Ravens gear and everything like that? Or do you keep like one thing as kind of memorabilia for yourself? What do you do with that when you change teams? Do you just donate it to the homeless shelter, all the stuff you had before? You keep 1 or 2 things that you like to wear around the house?
That's a good question. I feel like you just have random boxes of stuff from your past life.
Give it to the neighbors.
Yeah, something like that.
Donate it, yeah. I was thinking about this yesterday, and championship weekend kind of always stirs these memories for me. And obviously, we don't have this team in there, but anytime we were about to watch the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC title game, or really any playoff game, I would say one of the biggest compliments you can give a team in a positive manner, and it's a compliment rooted in jealousy. But how often do we say about the Chiefs, they're inevitable? They're always going to make the third down play. Kelsey's always going to find the sticks. Mahomes is always going to keep a play alive and find that first down. Hell, they're always going to get the flag. Seemingly anytime they were in a desperation mode, they'd get the big pass interference penalty. And I feel like we just watched the Indiana football program accomplish a year where they were inevitable. And like for IU football fans, the ones that have been there throughout all of it, it used to be the comedic 180 of that. It's like, just go back to the national title game. We had 2 kicks hit the uprights, right? In that game. 1 went in for Indiana, 1 missed for the Miami Hurricanes. The reverse of that would happen for Indiana. You had a blocked punt where your defense was out on the field. You weren't even trying to block it. Like that would happen against old Indiana, not new Indiana. The 4th and 5, Mendoza would have tripped over Pat Coogan 5-10 years ago for Indiana football. Like they were the inevitable nature to it. I don't know if you guys saw, it's kind of going around the Twitter sphere, the Malachi Toney fake punt. Have you guys seen this?
Yes.
So Tony fields the punt in the national title game, and Miami has it set up as a fake where he was going to, and Tony was a high school quarterback. He was going to throw it across the field. It is set up perfectly. And what happens? Indiana's right there to make the tackle. Again, old Indiana, that would happen against them. They would have that crazy fake punt go against them, and they would lose in heartbreaking fashion. And it's like, it's amazing how every single time, and just look at the fourth quarter, 4th and 5, 4th and 7, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 4, they were the inevitable team. They were the Chiefs of the last 5-6 years. Every single play, and even kind of those 50-50 plays, it went Indiana's way. And for 20, 30 years, maybe even more than that, they had been, frankly, the laughingstock of those plays going against them.
They've turned in from the Keystone Cops to SEAL Team 6 is what they've done.
Ooh, I like that.
Every time they had an opportunity to do something that was, like you said, a couple of 4th and 5s on that drive early in the fourth quarter, the big third downs, they just, the blocked punt, they just found a way to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to Griffin Oaks, missing the kick in the Pinstripe Bowl, and that was a heavily debated kick of, was the kick good? We've seen the T-shirts. I think that's how Home Field Apparel and Connor Hitchcock started things over there. That, like those things, it had been going against them for so long. And, I mean, you think about this past year, it was inevitable. 2nd and 17 in Happy Valley when you needed Omar Cooper Jr., Go back to the Iowa game when you needed Surratt to break that tackle and make a huge play in that game. They did it, and obviously add it all up, and it's one of the greatest football stories, if not one of the greatest football teams of all time.
I still go back to that fourth quarter catch over on the right sideline by Becker, and I was looking at it again last night. And James, he's on what? When you slow it down, obviously you can see everything. He's leaning down, almost completely bent over on one leg. And he makes a beautiful two-handed catch and he secures the ball. It looked almost effortless. That's a really tough play to make. And they just kept making plays, man. They get it done.
I saw on his latest Instagram post that Alec Pierce commented, twin. Got a kick out of that because that's what everyone's comparing him to, and rightfully so. Both guys are playmakers, and Charlie Becker is going to have a chance to have an expanded role next year, considering he's only, a sophomore? So that guy, if he could enter the draft, I'm sure he probably would because his stock is pretty high right now.
So I think we're just waiting on Omar Cooper Jr. I know IU fans could correct me out there. It sounds like Carter Smith, their left tackle, I believe he said after the game. I don't know if that was, I don't have an official declaration, but I think he said he's coming back. Whereas obviously Fernando Mendoza just declared this morning officially, and D'Angelo Pons heading. But Omar Cooper Jr., who I think, boy, I know I've said it a million times, I get some baby Deebo Samuel vibes to it. I just think his dynamic nature after the catch is so special. So I think we await that one. And outside of that, I feel like for the most part, we have everything. Obviously, you have several guys that are just out of eligibility, the Fishers, the Kamaras of the world, Surratts of the world. But that would be the one I think to keep an eye on.
There's no such thing as being out of eligibility. All you have to do is sue the NCAA and get a restraining order, which is actually happening, I believe, for a former Alabama player, basketball player.
Derrick Henry's coming back to Alabama. Oh,
Yeah.
you meant basketball.
Yeah, but no, I do think that's a real thing. If you really want to keep playing, you just get the lawyer and find some sort of loophole.
Yeah. A tweet.
Get me out of university, Kevin? Are you kidding me?
A tweet by an account called Mr. Indiana says, in just 2 days, Chipotle names a menu item after Coach Sig. The song Fernando is now top 15 on iTunes worldwide. How about that, James? the ABBA song Fernando. They played Fernando at the Bell Tower on campus yesterday. Saw a video of that. And also Google says he wins. That's if you go to his Google page, to his page now, that's what it says there. Fortnite. You guys ever play Fortnite, James? You ever done a Fortnite game?
No, I stopped playing video games when I turned about 16. I wanted clothes over video games. I wanted swag.
They've released a Fernando Mendoza skin. You play Fortnite, Mark?
Kids definitely do.
Yeah. Last night we mentioned Jimmy Fallon was hosting the Heisman Trophy quarterback winning and national champion quarterback, Fernando Mendoza. They had him on there literally breaking records. So Jimmy had a stack of wax records that he would toss up into the air, and Fernando would be about 5 yards away, just pummeling him with the football. He was literally breaking records. And then Jimmy Fallon asked him to describe the 4th and 5 touchdown play.
Were you like, no one's open, I got to do this? Or so it's a running play, and I'm a quarterback, I'm a passer. So at first I'm like, okay, here we go. And I'm supposed to run left. And all of a sudden, some instinct tells me, let's run right. So it's like when you miss your exit on maps and you're like, oh shoot, like, you're like, who? Oh shoot, here we go. But luckily it was the exit to a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then like you said,
Legendary.
and then like you said, I saw these huge football players in front of me, and I was like a human pinball machine. I was like, boom, boom, bang.
Yes.
Getting banged up, and all of a sudden, I'm in the air. I'm like, might as well reach for the touchdown because I'm so banged up. I don't know if I'll be able to get up after. So
Yeah,
here we go.
And you got back up.
And we got back
And
up.
you scored a touch.
There you go. The perfect explanation in a way that only Fernando Mendoza could explain it, James.
Yeah, he gave us all the sound effects there as well. Sometimes you got to risk it to get the biscuit, as they say. And he certainly earned that touchdown because he got hit multiple times. And for as put together as he looked on that stage last night, I'm sure he's probably still recovering from some of that playoff action.
Yeah, I've been reading all kinds of NFL former general managers and talent evaluators talk about what his potential could be in the NFL. And I think most of what I've seen, the two things that he has really going for him, Kevin, is incredible accuracy and a high intellect and great recognition at the line of scrimmage. You get those two things, they should carry you a ways in the NFL.
A little disappointed he did not make the draft announcement on LinkedIn. Could have used a nice 6-paragraph about work ethic and how he's really looking forward to the interview process and good restart
I don't
for
know.
his
Was
life.
this a sponsored post that he put out there on Instagram? Anything for the bag now?
Yeah. I mean, his processing ability, I think, is through the roof. And obviously the accuracy. And, one thing as well, when you think back to some of those back shoulder throws, like, that just giving Becker those chances. I mean, I know Becker made like some big time plays, but, I don't think Mendoza, I mean, he definitely has said this, like Monday night was not like some banner night of him throwing the football. But yet again, when they needed some of those moments there, he gave his guys chances. And, you brought up that Becker play. I mean, that was very close to being out of bounds, not just making the catch. Like, he was really close to the sideline there. I feel like the elbow landed just in bounds there. So, if you look at the Raiders and you look at Brock Bowers and, we'll see what they do from a wide receiver position standpoint. But obviously, Ashton Genty, I get it's the Raiders and they still need to hire a head coach. But, from an offensive personnel standpoint, there's a little bit more there than, maybe you would walk into in most cases here. So, it just seems like that is where his next destination will be.
The next destination for a lot of IU fans in Bloomington tomorrow. One thing I didn't mention yet today in Bloomington, Rally House in Bloomington. JMV is going to be doing the show at Rally House. So celebration just keeps going on everywhere and everywhere. So check out JMV today at 3 down in Bloomington. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock at Memorial Stadium. The parking lot's open at 10. We'll air it beginning at 12:45. Through its conclusion right here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. It's kind of one of those things. I know that the game is over and it's been a few days and it's been Monday, but you almost don't want to let go of it, James. I'm not ready to turn the page yet. I'm not ready to move on yet. I like this. This is fun.
You're not ready for IU Rutgers tonight at 6 o'clock to get you back ready to go?
I'll pay attention to it, but I don't know that I'm counting minutes down until we get to it.
So what does your winter storm prep look like? Because I remember when I lived at home, and this might have been during COVID when the world got a little weird. My mom, shout out to Lorna Boyd, she bought the biggest jar of peanut butter I've ever seen in my life. And I remember telling her, like, do you think that when the world ends, we'll just be sitting around eating peanut butter crackers for 8 days straight? What were you thinking? She was like, everyone was grabbing something. I had to too. So does anybody in your family hit like the panic button whenever it gets cold? Because my dad, I was talking to him yesterday, you would think I live in Siberia or like Buffalo, New York or something. The guy was telling me, do this, do that, and make sure you got this. I'm like, oh, dude, man, relax. It will be fine. I have heat.
We went to Costco yesterday, and I was like, I thought we were just getting like croissants or something. We ended up with like toilet paper, eggs, which I'm like, what do we need 24 eggs for? We like hibernating or something? I'm like, what the hell is going on?
I know
here?
you need them eggs because if my power goes out in my complex, which they actually sent me a text about this, like, hey, we got a power outage. I'm letting you all know now. If I have a power outage, I will be there eating some of those eggs, Mark Dykton.
You come over to the radio station to hang out,
Hey,
James.
no. I'm kicking my feet. I'm going to see Nelly.
So are we doing the show Monday?
I believe, unless we can't get here.
See the things we do for you all listening.
I'll be here. I'll do 3 hours myself.
There you go.
Oh boy, might get a little off the rails.
Rally House, I'm going to correct myself. Did I say Bloomington? Because I'm playing it back in my head. It's 82nd. It's going to be up here. The Rally House is up here. I'm going to correct myself on that. Clearwater at 82nd Street, not in Bloomington. I don't know why I said Bloomington, but I started hearing that back in my head. So that'll be here at 82nd and up in Clearwater, 82nd Street, not Bloomington.
James, I know you were on this story here to lead off the show, and I want to make sure that our audience, hears it because obviously it was a pretty big headline yesterday. The FBI investigating the death from last May of Colts owner Jim Irsay. I think at the time, even then there were probably some questions about the death itself. What was yesterday's news?
So, as you said, the Washington Post reported that the FBI is investigating the death of Jim Irsay, and the way they framed it is that they're investigating his drug use, both prescription and illegal, and his relationship with Dr. Harry Haratunian, a California-based recovery doctor, and his role potentially, I would assume, in Irsay's death. And I guess some of the controversy here is that, or some of the facts here, I'll leave it at that. So Irsay died when 65. He was in Beverly Hills, and the listed cause of death on his death certificate is cardiac arrest with acute pneumonia and heart problems. No autopsy was performed. The no autopsy part is key because Haratunian, the doctor, signed the death certificate. But now there's more questions, I would assume, about, how exactly did Jim Irsay die? And the implication, at least in my mind, is, did the doctor have something to do with it? Because he prescribed Irsay a lot of opioids and ketamine before he passed. And again, a lot of this stuff can be obtained legally, but the volume in which Irsay acquired this stuff or got this stuff does kind of raise your eyebrows a little bit. And then the ketamine part of it, for those of you who might be having questions about that, it's controversial whether that is a good drug to use for substance abuse. However, Matthew Perry, famous actor from The Friends, he died in October 2023, and his listed cause of death was ketamine. So again, Irsay's listed cause of death was not ketamine. I want to make that very clear, but perhaps the FBI wants to take a second look at that and, again, how everything kind of unfolded, because there's probably more questions there than answers right now. I do not know who initiated this FBI investigation. Was it them on their own? Did someone tip them off? Did the family want to take another look at this? We do not know that part of it. And then the Colts filed a statement yesterday when all of us inquired about it, saying we are aware of the investigation at this time. We've not been contacted by the FBI or been served with any subpoenas. But it does sound like the FBI has done some digging, because according to the Washington Post, you had federal investigators come here to Indianapolis earlier this month to interview people close to Irsay over the final stages of his life. So I know it's a mouthful, but that's about as black and white as I can put it for you all listening.
So that last part, is that a little he said, she said? They came to Indianapolis to interview people close to him, but the Colts said they haven't been contacted by the FBI? I guess you could interview his friends, per se.
Yeah, and I think it's more so like, okay, did you interview people who are not technically employees of the Colts?
Gotcha.
So very weird situation, and I'm sure some more will come out of it, but I think a lot of it, at least in my mind, probably pertains to the doctor and what exactly the type of care he was giving Jim Irsay, and is that something that's reasonable, or is that something that needs to be looked at in a more different light? Oh, and the last thing I'll say about Matthew Perry, when it comes to the whole ketamine thing, and sometimes famous people getting doctors to prescribe them things, 5 people were charged in the death of Matthew Perry, and all 5 pled guilty, including 2 doctors. So I think that is why this conversation is a little bit louder this time around when it comes to Jim Irsay.
Yeah, and you can also go back to, remember when Michael Jackson passed away, they threw the doctor that kept giving him stuff in jail for a while.
Exactly. So, again, more to come, I would assume, from this, but certainly something that is an ongoing thing.
Reminder, too, as an owner, during his tenure running the day-to-day operations with the Colts, they won 258 games, the 4th most in the NFL during that span, 10 division titles, went 1-1 in Super Bowls, and made the playoffs 18 times.
I do want to say this, too, and this isn't necessarily for Jim Irsay, but I think sometimes, and I hate myself for, well, I don't hate myself. I do love me some me now, but I hate that I read some of the comments sometimes when these stories come out because there's not always a lot of empathy there. And you all know this, but just because someone is rich does not mean they're absolved of addiction or absolved of substance abuse issues. So when people say, oh, why come you just didn't get better? And how come you just didn't do this? No one asks to be addicted to anything. You might, make a choice that you look back on and wish you could change. But yeah, I do want to make it very clear that substance abuse is widely considered to be under the whole mental health umbrella. So trying to separate the two and act like, we're above somebody that might have an addiction, I just don't think that's the right place to be. And although you can't change anybody's legacy, I do think that Jim Irsay is a complicated legacy. Let's not forget all the other things that he did as well throughout his entire life besides some of the battles that he had.
All right, well spoken, James. Appreciate that. Coming up in a moment, Greg Rakestraw stops by for his weekly visit, as he does every Friday. We will talk a little bit about his thoughts, impressions, and feelings on Indiana winning a national championship in football and what we've got to look forward to over the next couple of weeks. It's all straight ahead at 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
saying? Yo, Snow, they came around looking for you the other day. Word, bust it.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
How's that new studio light working out for you, James? Can you see today? It's not right at you? Doing okay?
It's bright. You know, like I told y'all yesterday, I'm black every day, but now you can see me. A little less black.
We continue to put these studios
Not
together.
light skin, just a little less black.
We continue to put these studios together like 1 week at a time. And
looks better on the stream, though.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah,
so.
we're working it out.
All right, we've got all kinds of things happening this weekend. We just got done talking about that. And we can't talk about Indiana sports and all the great things that are going on, from high schools to the Hoosiers winning a national championship and all the college basketball that's going on, before we get to Greg Rakestraw coming up in a few minutes here. If you're locked in because of the weather all weekend, what does your viewing look like, Kevin Bowen?
Well, I can't wait for tomorrow inside of Mackey. I mean, 3 o'clock, Purdue and Illinois. It's a great game. I mean, you look at it right now, the Big Ten standings, you got Nebraska, as wild as that sounds, as the undefeated team. But then after that, you've got the two Michigan schools and then these two right there with one loss. So massive game for the Big Ten. And not to get too deep into this just yet, because we are, probably a month and a half away from Selection Sunday. But, Purdue, last year, it was kind of luck of the draw, because they were, the 4 seed or the 5 seed. But, last year, they played in Indy here in the Sweet 16. The year before that, it was, I believe, Detroit is where their regional was. And this year, it could be Chicago. Now, there's priority in that. And if you look at the Big Ten right now, obviously you got a lot of Midwest teams that would be competing for those seeds to try and make it as drivable as possible. So, that's just kind of a little thing. It's not necessarily the Big Ten title or anything along those lines, but, it's different than getting on a plane and going to, I forget where the other sites are. I think it's like D.C. and then maybe Houston and somewhere out west. So just something to keep in mind here, as Purdue certainly looks like a team more than capable of making a deep run.
You know what's crazy, though, in this new day and age, this wild, wild west atmosphere we're in with college sports and, everybody coming here, going there. You see Indiana upsetting the apple cart for so many different reasons. Curt Cignetti and the way he approached everything, chief among them, the ability to spend some money to bring some players and do the things that they did. Although, again, they weren't like in the top 5 for money spent, but they did a nice job and did what they did. Are we seeing this happen in the Big Ten with Nebraska right now at 8-0? How are they turning everything around? Because they look like a good basketball team.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily, massive money related. If I'm not mistaken, like Rick Mass has been in that program now for a couple years. I don't know. Maybe it has a little bit more of the, lower IU flavor to it. And again, I've said this before, but I think that's some of the misconception nationally about this. Obviously, Indiana financially is in a very healthy spot NIL-wise. I don't want to act like they're not, but they did not go out and buy that Curt Cignetti first team strictly off of just outpaying Power 4 programs.
No, they brought a lot of those guys from
you cut the
JMU.
check to bring in, a couple of players.
Like Elijah Surratt was a transfer to James Madison. He was D2.
Yeah.
So, whether it's him, whether it's Fisher, whether it's Pons, again, the list goes on and on. Mikhail Kamara, Curtis Rourke, I think was thought to be, an attractive portal quarterback, but he was not Mendoza or Carson Beck or Riley Leonard or Will Howard going to Ohio State. I mean, he was not at that level either. So, that's a little different than I think like Texas Tech, for example. Like, I think if you look at the Texas Tech story, that's a little bit of just, we've got some massive boosters. I forget the dude's name there. Version of, Cuban's a wrong name to use.
He's like the oil guy?
Yeah, the oil dude, Cody or something or other. But that is the team that I think is probably more of the poster child for, we're going to go buy a team.
Right.
They're that program. Whereas Indiana is, again, they're in a, I don't want to act like they are, pinching pennies here by any means. They paid Fernando Mendoza, whatever it was, nearly $3 million. But the core of it is still really the James Madison guys, and even some of those other guys. Hardy's a Navy kid. I want to say one of those defensive linemen's like Texas State. And, some of these other, Pat Coogan, for example, if he would have gone back to Notre Dame, he probably wouldn't have been a starter. And he goes to Indiana, and boom, he's a captain. So all of that, I think, is part of their story.
That is crazy that he played in back-to-back national championship games for 2 different programs in the same state.
Yeah, and I guess just a little clarity on that story, because I think people have asked me, like, wait, what did Notre Dame not want? Notre Dame starting center, actually an Indiana kid, Lawrenceburg native, Ashton Craig, he tore his ACL the previous year. That's why Coogan was starting for him last year in the national title game. So the thought was Craig would be back for Notre Dame.
Right.
He was back last season. He unfortunately got hurt again, but that, I think, is the aspect to the transfer portal that will be different moving forward. The ability for you to keep quality depth pieces, I think, is about to evaporate. And that's for programs all around college football. So, health is always paramount. That's an obvious statement. But, like, I know Indiana had the Stephen Daly injury late in the season, but again, for the most part, Indiana was really, really healthy. Those are some of the questions I think moving forward for teams, again, all across college football, is when you start to have some injuries, your depth guys that you maybe were grooming or have played a little bit here when guys have gotten hurt, they're probably going to be in the portal. Like Indiana's lost a couple depth pieces here over the past week here since the national title. That's just the reality. Again, Alberto Mendoza is not staying at your school anymore. That's just how, and that's a little bit more high-profile quarterback, but I think that goes with really a lot of positions.
All right, we turn now to the Payless Liquors hotline Friday morning. It's our designated time, and we are fortunate to have that every week with Greg Rakestraw, Mr. Indiana Sports himself, joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline. Greg Rakestraw, here we are. They finished it off. They go to Miami. They play well. They made all the big plays when they had to. They were challenged. They come out on top. How in your entire life covering Indiana sports, we know it's a national crazy story, but try to put this into perspective from somebody who's lived everything from the high school sports to college to the Colts to the Pacers to everything in between.
Well, first of all, it's the first major championship in 19 years, so obviously, that stands out to you. But for any of the teams to have delivered that, for it to have been Indiana football is the one that got it done. It is the one that is still mind-blowing. And again, I mentioned this when I was in for JMV on Tuesday. This is now a BCAD moment, for the way we cover sports in our state and the place at the table that Indiana football now has. There's going to be a lot more coverage of them this spring. There would usually be just a passing, and by the way, the spring football game is this weekend, but hey, that really serves as the precursor, to Little Five. Now we're talking about the spring football game first. Frankly, shows like yours are going to spend more time talking about Indiana football during the course of the fall because fans will demand that you do because they want to talk about this story. So it is the line that, thinking about this last night, that hit me was one of the lines from The Patriot. I think the actor's name is Tom Wilkinson, that plays the British general. And when he says, everything will change, and he kind of angles to the left, and within a millisecond he goes, everything has changed. And that's the way to describe IU football.
Rake, in our little bubble, by the way, fingers crossed for us on Tuesday, making the trek up there weather-wise.
We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Notre Dame's not playing a game in New Albany. We're gonna be just fine.
Cannot wait. Annual trip. Greg Rakestraw and I up US 31, Notre Dame, Virginia. That's where the season turns around for the Irish. Come on, baby. Can't wait for our Irish old-fashioned that roars before we head into the arena. On the Notre Dame side of it, and I bring this up from a football aspect, Rake, you know this very well. Notre Dame, I wouldn't say they're like living in the state of Indiana from a recruiting standpoint, but whether it's Zach Martin, whether it's Jalen Smith, whether it's Jack Kaiser, whether it's Sheldon Day, they have gotten some very notable players out of the state of Indiana. Tay Johnson, Fort Wayne, I think will be a great player for Notre Dame here very, very soon as well. I'm curious if those guys now start to go to Bloomington. Do we see a little bit more of a competitive? It's not just maybe Ohio State or Michigan occasionally dipping their toes into our state. Does Indiana now establish themselves as more of a actual football footprint, if you will, recruiting-wise?
The canary in the coal mine will be a young man named Manchin Sales. That is the wide receiver at Lawrence North. I saw a news nugget or a tweet go by in the last 24 hours about the fact that Kalen DeBoer was on campus at LN yesterday, and
they've got 3 or 4 really talented kids, but Sales would be the reason why he would be there, because he is that level of recruit as a 6'5" speedster wide receiver. I saw he actually played a little safety last year, and he was almost as good, if not better, as a safety in terms of ground he could cover than as a wide receiver. And this is a state-level track kid as well. If IU is in on that kid, and let's face it, obviously Omar Cooper, Davion Chandler was a backup on that team as well, so LN had 2 players on that national championship team. That might be the first guy that we look at and go, okay, Indiana's getting national-level recruits from their own state. So, and I'm glad you brought up Ohio State, because obviously Notre Dame gets key pieces. Ohio State has also been the team that comes in. If there is a national-level recruit, obviously whether it's Pete Werner, whether it's Josh Fryer, whether it's Caden Curry, once every 2 or 3 years you see a key piece go over to Ohio State. Josh Mickens would have been in that group, even though he's transferring out as well. But Sales will be the first guy that we see that would give us an indication as to whether that's the case.
Yeah, I'd throw in Mylan Graham from up in the northern part of the state as well. So
New Haven, yep.
Rank, I believe you were on the call for Plainfield Lawrence North the other night. Saw you up there on the perch doing your thing. That was a great game, by the way.
You have continued your streak of going to games where I'm at and not coming and say hello to me, James. What did I tell you about that?
Can I defend myself here? I show up 2 minutes before tip-off, probably not the best time to go talk to the guy, and I leave right after tip-off. Do you want me to stay around at the end of it or to hang out or what? What's the proper etiquette?
All you got to do is come up, give a wave. Now, again, it's a lot of stairs, which is more of a concern for me than a young, spry person, as yourself. But, just even a text, hey, I'm in the building, what's up? I'm down here, give me a wave. That's all I need. That's good.
Okay. Can you not bring the man a Mountain Dew? I know full well for these trips,
Is that his thing?
We need, I owe you a Mountain Dew on Tuesday afternoon, correct, Ray?
It is January. I'm trying to be better about said things.
Okay.
So, just a wave is all. I appreciate it.
So you give me the wrong advice.
Wave is all I need.
Just past trips up there, I've said, you know what? Hey, Ray, can I pay for gas?
Right,
no.
Right.
Get me a Mountain Dew.
Right. We gotta stop letting these intruders, interrupt when I'm asking the questions here. He's throwing me off. But the next time I see you, I'll give you a hug and maybe a smooch on the head. But other than that,
now, that's a bit too much.
I'll give you the Michael Irvin and Mario Cristobal. He did not appreciate that at all. I'll keep my lips to myself. But on an Indiana note, going back to the Hoosiers, Rake, if you had to ask Fernando Mendoza one question at the NFL scouting combine, what would it be? Because I think that he's a very interesting person, and his interview could go a number of different ways.
From an NFL standpoint, because he is kind of such an honest and open kid, I would almost ask him, what concerns you about it being in the National Football League? Because I think that would be an interesting reflection into kind of what his thought process is going in. Because, fellas, he's the number 1 pick. I mean, my goodness, he was on Fallon last night. He was on the Today Show this morning. He's on Good Morning America. He is making the media tour. Somebody in his group, and obviously now, when you be a bit more open about working with agents and things like that, he's got some smart people behind him, and he clearly is a very smart kid. So from the National Football League perspective, I just literally go, all right, Fernando, what concerns you? What do you think you have to work on? What has your attention on this? For me personally, and this will be a non-NFL question. This would be a past tense thing. But as a native Hoosier, I would go, when did you figure out a national championship was in play here? When did it hit you that, hey, we could win the whole flipping thing, to use his phraseology? So 2 different answers to your question, but that immediately is what comes to mind, JB.
Certainly no introduction needed for that voice. The great Greg Rakestraw, he's with us here every Friday at 8 o'clock. I saw City Tournament's going to bump up for tomorrow, noon and 2 for those tip times. Have we started this kind of around the state? You mentioned obviously the southern portion. Sounds like it could get hit a little harder. What are we looking at probably Saturday night from a high school scene?
So schools from Seymour South have decided they're not going to play the rest of the year. We'll see in the sectionals. It's going to be a month they dig out down there. I grew up hearing about the blizzard of '78, and people were out of school for 4 weeks. That might be the case in Harrison County. So in all seriousness, in the Indianapolis area, games will be played tonight. I would imagine they will try to move up games in the afternoon. So, like, for example, I've got Pike and Carmel this evening. That game's going to get played. I've got Mount Vernon HSE tomorrow night, and I am waiting to hear back from ADs in terms of, all right, you're going to move it up. How soon you're going to move it up? Then I got to figure out if I got a television window in which to carry that game, et cetera. But I would imagine most games around the state, if they're going to get played tomorrow, are going to get played tomorrow afternoon. And I would imagine most games in Southern Indiana will simply be waved off, and the common phrase will be "God be with you," because if they get more than 4 inches of snow down there, everybody's freaking out. You have a projection for more than a foot. You might be, kissing relatives in case you never see them again.
Greg Rakestraw joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline. City tournament continues. We're down to the semifinals now. What can you tell us about who's doing what there?
So Cathedral and Attucks have become the two teams that you kind of set your watch to. And that has been a great matchup and a precursor for usually being in the same sectional, whether it's in 4A or now in 3A for a second consecutive year. This year, there's probably a little bit of a bigger gap between those two teams than it has been in years gone by. Attucks is kind of retooling a little bit. Dejan Hall's a really good player, a potential Indiana All-Star and D1 level player. But Cathedral is the better team. They are a contender for the 3A state championship this year. So it should be Cathedral City Tournament, but crazy things happen. And the City Tournament is played in one of my favorite venues. I love the Horseshoe at Tech. And at some point in time, I need to get back there and call that championship game.
That is a great venue. Watched many Monday nights there for a city championship with Cathedral. Rake, last one for me. Got to mention, I think one of the stories in college basketball currently, and I don't know how plugged in everybody is on it, but that would be the undefeated Miami, Ohio Redhawks led by Pete Suter, who is just putting up some video game-like numbers here recently for them. I assume you called a couple of his games back in the day?
Just a few, where mom and dad are family friends at this point. But yes, and one of the things, the comment about Pete that always strikes me, because Pete was starting as a freshman on what was a senior-dominated team at Carmel. But Ryan Osborne, and again, and I've known Ozzy for 25 years at this point because he played for us at IUPUI. Ozzy goes, what struck me about Pete is that even though he was, as a freshman, the seniors respected him and kind of brought him into the mix, he never forgot to hang out with his friends, and he never, thought he was better than, the other freshmen in the program. All those kids were playing freshman ball or playing JV ball. And that kind of told me at a young age, hey, this kid's got a pretty high intellect and kind of gets it. I thought he got the absolute most out of his high school career, and I am not surprised that he is killing it at this level. He began at Bellarmine, then transferred to Miami, Ohio. And you got to remember, folks, there is a whole lot of Indiana. There always has been because of the proximity. I mean, the campus is inside of the Ohio state line by a couple, 3 miles at most. But, you've got Travis Steele, you've got Ben Botts, you've got John Holmes on the staff. I think that's where Christian Smith is these days as well. So it's almost an all-Indiana staff. Justin Kirby, from last year's runner-up in Fishers and the previous year's state champ, is over there. So there's a lot of Indiana to root for if you follow that Miami of Ohio story.
Greg, last thing for me, IU-Indy starting to get it together offensively as we expected them to. They've won 2 of their last 3, and they've scored 96 and 103 in those 2 wins. That's what they want to do, and I suppose everybody in that league should get used to it, right?
Correct. And frankly, that's what happens when jump shots go down. So the game that I had a 96-93 win against Robert Morris 8 days ago, and Robert Morris is the defending league champs. They got beat by Detroit Mercy 80-77 on Saturday. And they were 6 of 29 from three-point range. The crazy thing about watching this group is that they rarely take bad shots. They just get to them quickly because of the tenor and tempo, which how they play. Oakland was in second place in the league, but we just had 2 days in the Horizon League where the bottom 3 teams just beat the top 3 teams because IU-Indy was 11th. But Cleveland State was 10th. They beat number 1 ranked state. Youngstown State had really been struggling, had lost 7 in a row. They beat the number 3 team in the league over the course of Thursday's game. So, again, it's been one of those years where there's just not much difference, 1 through 11 in the league. IU-Indy seemingly is figuring it out well. And, folks, if you're looking for something to do on Sunday since you're not leaving your house, turn on MyNDTV 23 because it's college and we're playing regardless. So it may be me and a very intimate studio audience watching IU Indy and Purdue Fort Wayne Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock.
Always good to talk to you, buddy. Stay warm, have fun, enjoy the games all weekend.
Thank you, fellas. I apologize for my tardiness. I was already preparing from a grocery standpoint for the impending snowpocalypse. And, fellas, I'll see you later today.
Rick, what time on Tuesday are you thinking?
I would say, all depends on how much, time we need for those old fashions before the game. So you want to head up, like, say, 2:30? That work for you, sir?
You bet. I'll be literally sitting on the sidewalk like a kid waiting for Santa.
I expect a similar response from North Central Indiana, waving us as we drive under overpasses on US 31 as the football team got. So
flyovers and Grissom,
we will
right?
plot out a route on social media accordingly for the rest of the state.
Yeah, hang from the Peru water tower as we climb up there. Yeah.
We need to get them like a police escort up there, James.
We'll
do a flyover at Grissom Air Force Base like we always see.
Rake, I'll see you tonight, and I will say hello.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, brother.
Thanks, buddy. There he is, Greg Rakestraw on the Pay Less Liquors hotline. That's an annual thing now, right?
Yes, it'll be our third year. So Rake and I make the trek up there. Shout out to Ryan Owens, a great human on the staff up there, and Coach Shrewsbury and company. So, yeah, we head over to Roars in there. In the Morris Inn for those that have
question
been
about that
on campus. So we head over there. We usually grab a drink or two before we then head into Purcell Pavilion. Notre Dame, Virginia, 7 o'clock. And, I didn't say this to Ray. Timing's great because you know what we got on the drive home? We got Indiana, Purdue at 9 o'clock next Tuesday. So we will have, we could start our drive with Rob Blackman for the first half and go Don Fisher for the second half.
And who's driving?
Where we'll be. Greg Rakestraw.
Okay.
It's like following Alex Palou in an IndyCar race. There's no other human you would want to be. By the way, I saw Alex Palou.
I was about to say, you sure you want to be Alex Palou right now?
I won some money here. Saw McLaren awarded, I think, $12 million was the headline for all that Alex Palou contract drama. But yes, sorry, James.
So my question is, Michael Shrewsbury, are you bringing your brass knuckles to have his back in case the officials get a little iffy?
If I need to go on the floor, I will.
That way he keeps Micah safe and in play.
I can only imagine the look on Maddie's face if she ever turned on ESPN and it says, Indiana man arrested at Notre Dame game, arguing a call.
There probably won't
be arguing a call.
Not sure how many people will be necessarily in the building for that one. So unfortunately, I don't think I could hide very easily after. But in all seriousness, it's one of my favorite days of the year. Like, can you imagine what we just had 18 minutes with Greg Rakestraw? Like, I get that for 5 hours.
Yeah.
And that's just the driving part. Literally every exit, it's like, all right, Ruth Riley went to Miami High School. Tell me a little bit about it. Boom. 10 minutes. Okay, where are we up next? Okay, now, there we are, Plymouth. Yeah. Tell me about Randy Davis in that shot back in 2008.
When he told me he joined the board of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, that was the most fitting thing ever because the man is a walking encyclopedia when it comes to that stuff.
It's true. It's like a living Google machine. You don't even say to yourself, I wonder if Greg knows this. You just ask the question
before AI,
and expect the answer.
There was Rake, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
And if I remember correctly, we've done some Tuesdays in the past, so I believe he's got JMV at some point in the drive up there. So, that's always fun to watch the magic, watch the sausage be made, if you will.
I've never spent an uninteresting or bad 30 seconds with Greg Rakestraw. It's always tremendous.
Hey, the man loves what he does.
All right. Mark, let's check it down.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
We'll go quickly. The FBI is looking into the death of Colts owner Jim Irsay, according to a report in the Washington Post. They've issued a federal grand jury subpoena earlier this month seeking records related to Irsay's death, his alleged use of illegal and prescription drugs, and his relationship with Dr. Harry Hartunian, a California-based addiction specialist who treated him before his death, according to the Washington Post. Investigators also spent several days here in Indy earlier this month as part of the inquiry. The FBI declining to comment on the probe. Colts say they're aware of it, but really don't have anything to add at this point in time. James, you were kind of covering this yesterday.
Yeah, it is something that I think will have some more tentacles to it as time moves on.
All right, IU continues the celebration of winning the national championship in football tomorrow, 1 p.m., Memorial Stadium down in Bloomington. Weather forecast calling for some really cold temperatures, but I don't think the bad stuff gets there until after it's all over tomorrow. What keep an eye on all the weather coverage for you. Live coverage for us starts at 12:45 here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. The parking lots, if you're going, open at 10 a.m. And here in Indianapolis later today, 82nd and Clearwater, Rally House there. There'll be JMV's broadcasting more celebration of the Hoosiers National Championship in that one. Later tonight in the NBA, the Pacers will play at the Oklahoma City Thunder. Airtime 7:30, tip time 8 o'clock here on The Fan. Quentin Jackson questionable. Still waiting for an update on Benedict Mathurin and his thumb too, right?
Yeah, and again, trade deadline less than 2 weeks away. You got IU at Rutgers tonight at 6 o'clock. Butler hosting Marquette at 8. Those are 2 games for 2 bubble teams that they need to hold serve.
Mm-hmm.
They are not going to help your resume. I believe both of them would be in the quad 3 range, so they would be very bad on your resume. So hold serve. That is important for the Friday night action. And a great one tomorrow in Mackey. Purdue and Illinois, 3 o'clock. Certainly one of the marquee Big Ten games we've had so far this season. Really looking forward to that one. And we'll see how Purdue bounces back. Last year wasn't great. Their first game back from the West Coast trip. I know the Boswell kid for Illinois, I think, broke his hand, so he's going to be out for a couple weeks here. So big one for Purdue. Illinois won like 8 in a row.
Butler game tonight can be heard on 92.7 FM Fuego, airtime 7:30 there, and the Indiana game can be on 93 WIBC. That one starts early at Rutgers, 6 p.m. tomorrow on Fox. You can watch Illinois at Purdue. Indy Ignite have their first home match of the year tomorrow night at the Fishers Event Center. They are 3-0 so far. It'll be their first home match, and as you can attest, Kevin, it's a really nice way to spend an evening.
Outstanding venue and outstanding energy based off not only the marketing aspect around it, but the product on the floor. High-level volleyball was super fun to watch, so yeah, it should be a great crowd. And they got a lot of home games coming up here throughout the month of February as well. So if you can't make it Saturday night due to the weather or for whatever reason, plenty of home games on the horizon.
High school basketball city tournament continues. Last night, Cathedral advanced with a win over Bishop Chatard. Cardinal Ritter in overtime edged Heritage Christian 68-67. Crispus Attucks gets a win over Crystal House 78-57. And Cecina defeats Tech 61-54. The winners all now in the semifinals, James Boyd. It's always good basketball to watch.
Did you have a score on the Cathedral Chatard game? I'd like to.
81-46. 81-46.
Okay. Colleen Bowen, Chatard alum. Maddie Bowen, Chatard alum.
You just were going to get yourself in trouble all over the place, aren't you?
Toss that in there. You said 81-46. Okay. Is it? Do we do running clocks, James? At any point in high school?
I believe so. I want to say if you get up by 35 or something like that, they start running the clock. So
I love the fact that he acts like this is all a big surprise to learn that score.
Just confirming. You're the one that brought it up. I hadn't brought it up all day. You blame Jeff Rickard.
Cathedral does well in the city. They've been around those city tournaments every now and then. So that's what's going on there. Of course, Championship Sunday in the National Football League coming up a day after tomorrow. It'll be New England at Denver, the 3 o'clock game, and then the Rams take on the Seattle Seahawks at 6:30. 2 winners go meet in the Super Bowl. Anything else you guys want to throw in before we head to break?
I do believe that the Alex Pillow news is pretty significant. So apparently a judge ruled that he'll have to pay McLaurin $12 million before a breach of contract when he left F1. So pretty hefty payday there. I'm sure there's other litigation that has to happen or perhaps appeals and opposals and things like that going forward, but pretty big news and pretty expensive news for Alex Pillow.
Jesse Minter, the new Ravens head coach, Lou Anarumo, interviewed in Buffalo yesterday, and officially D'Angelo Pons declaring for the draft, and Fernando Mendoza disappointed to not see a LinkedIn announcement from Mendoza on that. He went
days early.
Instagram route to announce that this morning.
All right, James, you asked a very interesting question about head coaches and vacancies in the National Football League. We'll give that some airtime and talk about what's happening around the league next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I'm the kind of G the little homies wanna be like, on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the street light. Been staying most of the night, living in the gangster's paradise.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Happy Friday morning. Sun is up and at least clear for now. The snow should be coming sometime Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening and into Sunday. So if you're planning on going down to the rally tomorrow in Bloomington, it's going to be cold, but hopefully the snow will not get there yet. The parking lot's open at 10, and then you can go in the stadium later on at 1 o'clock. I think they're going to keep it to about 30, 45 minutes. We are going to start airing it at 12:45 here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. There'll be a little bit of a celebration at the Rally House here in Indy with JMV at 3 o'clock a little bit later on today. We'll have some more information on that. But we're talking about head coaches in the NFL just a minute ago. You mentioned that Mentor is on his way now to coach the Baltimore Ravens. So that leaves the openings now: Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Arizona, Las Vegas, and Cleveland. Now, you would think that of the remaining teams that are open, anybody, I don't care what anybody says about ownership. You want to go coach Josh Allen, don't you?
Absolutely. I'm looking at this list, and it is pretty bleak outside of Buffalo. I mean, Pittsburgh, I guess, for stability. If you know you get that job, you're probably going to be there for a while. But, yeah, you want to go coach arguably the best player in the world.
Kevin, how great is the opportunity now with the Las Vegas Raiders? They're the Raiders. They've had their challenges. Everybody knows the stories. They seem to screw everything up. But the chance to go work with Fernando Mendoza, who appears to be a lock at number 1 overall, and I think a guy that has the attributes to be a pretty good NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things about that job will be the division.
It's a brutal coaching division.
Well, not only coaching, but
I mean the players.
How about the quarterbacks in that division?
Yeah.
You know, when you look at those three teams, whether it's Kansas City, whether it's the Chargers, whether it's Denver, you know, that division does not look like one that's falling off anytime soon. And that, I'm not even getting into the Mark Davis whatever situation. And, you know, I don't know how much will Vegas continue to be like you look up in the stands at home games and it's kind of a split crowd. You know, it seems like there's a little bit of that feel to it.
Yeah, because people go to Vegas to watch their team.
Sure, and you probably circle that game on the calendar a little bit there. You know, one thing to bring up, we see these openings, and you mentioned Buffalo earlier. We played yesterday, or we talked about the Keon Coleman, Terry Pagula situation in Buffalo. You know, I watched, I after that press conference, I was like, I got to watch this thing. So I went back and watched it. And Terry Pagula, the Bills owner, again, just to update everybody, he retained Brandon Beane, the GM, but fired Sean McDermott, the head coach.
Retained and gave him a promotion.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Now, part of his reasoning,
so crazy,
as he explained on the Brandon Beane front, he goes, well, a big reason why I'm keeping him is a major reason why we've won a playoff game in 6 straight years is Josh Allen. And he, I believe, he called him Houdini to trade up for Josh Allen. And just to refresh everybody's memory on that 2018 draft, that was your Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen draft. And Buffalo started that draft at pick 21. They traded up on 2 separate occasions to get all the way up, right behind the Colts, actually. Colts took Quentin Nelson at 6. They then took Josh Allen at 7. And, you know, that was a very controversial pick. You know, a lot of people had major questions about Josh Allen exiting Wyoming. And that's where I kind of sit here on this Friday morning. And James, 0-1-2. We've talked about that with Chris Ballard. The counting method. The 0 division titles, the 1 playoff win, the 2 playoff trips. What we haven't really talked that much about, like Chris Ballard's high draft pick is looking like a bust. Is that not discussed internally at all? Like, is that an evaluation
Anthony
point?
Richardson?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess. Sorry to not say the person's name. You know, is that?
No, I
on,
didn't mean that as bogus. I just meant like there's a couple of different picks you could look at and say, hey, first round pick, they didn't work out.
Right. I'm talking top 10, top.
Yeah,
You know,
I got
when you have these moments in your
Quarterbacks,
franchise, they are the moments.
Yeah, he's the highest drafted player since Luck.
He was supposed to turn the direction of your franchise.
Well, any pick that high is supposed to positively, you know, significantly positively impact your franchise. And like, if the Colts traded Anthony Richardson tomorrow for a 4th round pick, would everybody be like, okay, fine?
I'd take 4th round at this point.
So you would take that, okay? Right? So that means your 4th overall pick 3 years ago went 8-7 as a starter and turned into a 4th round pick. So 4th rounder is what, 100 and something?
Yeah.
100, let's just call it 120 overall.
And he's coming off an eye injury, too.
Like, we don't discuss that aspect to him of Ballard's resume. I mean, we haven't really brought it up much. Like, Richardson is a flat-out bust if that trade happens tomorrow morning. And that's where, like, when Pagula said that about Brandon Beane, I was like, well, damn. I mean, he traded up twice. They weren't sitting there with the 7th overall pick. He went and got that dude, and wiggled and maneuvered his way all the way up there, whereas the Colts stayed there at number 4. They did not try and trade above their division rival in Houston, who took C.J. Stroud at 2. They stayed there at 4, and now they've drafted a quarterback that looks like an absolute bust. And it's like, did that aspect of it, and again, maybe it's more of a Carly Irsay Gordon question than anything, but should this be more discussed outside of just the resume? I mean, the resume stinks from a county method, but what about the most precious draft pick they've had in eons?
And they told on themselves last offseason because Anthony Richardson, young, 8-7, had shown some moments, but also showed not a lot in some ways. They decided to go get oft injured, not really proven, at least in over 3 years. They went to get Daniel Jones. Now, in the first half of the season, looked like a terrific move, but that's what they told you they thought of Anthony Richardson at that point in time. That's my point.
Yeah, and they were correct, to be honest with you. I know I was very critical of the decision to start Daniel Jones at the beginning of the season, given his resume, but I'll eat some crow there and say that there is no way that I believe Daniel Jones finished with the 2nd highest completion percentage in Colts franchise history. And keep in mind, Anthony had the lowest completion percentage in franchise history just a year prior. And we're not talking about, okay, he's completing 53% of his passes, 47.7. When you can't complete half your passes in the NFL, you're not an NFL quarterback. So I don't fault the Colts for pivoting, but I think the point Kevin is trying to make, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, is that how much grace do you gain when you fail on the top 5 pick and then sort of rebound, at least for half a year, with your second option being Daniel Jones? And really, in my opinion, the thing that's most damning about the Anthony Richardson situation, beyond the injuries and the inaccuracy, it's the character issues that were glossed over, overlooked early on.
It was a misevaluation.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to act like these things are still continuing, because from everything I've heard, and really I do think there is some maturity that Anthony has gained from all of this. I don't think that he's necessarily approaching his job the same way as he did as a first-day rookie. However, you told us that he was very serious. You told us that he worked hard. You told us that he was built to be the face of a franchise. You named him a team captain. Granted, I don't know how it would look if you didn't name your quarterback a captain, but nevertheless, he was a 2-year captain. And you had to bench him in 2024 because he wasn't working hard enough. And then when, I believe it was me or you or someone, when we asked Chris Ballard, hey, why did it take benching him to get through to him? Ballard says, actually, it was me, because then Ballard asked me if I had any kids. And I was like, you know the answer to that. Absolutely not. And he was like, well, it's kind of like when you tell your kids to do something, they don't do it. And I thought that remark was pretty damning too, because he's not a kid. Now, I get it. He's young. He had to mature. But when you're handing this guy $40 million and say, hey, be the face of my franchise, you probably don't want to fall back on the, hey, we asked him to do a couple things and he just didn't do it. Hey, growing pains for a kid, that's not a good reason at all. And yeah, when you look up and put it like that, Kevin, I have kind of dismissed it at this point because I'm so focused on what's next. But that is quite the blight on the resume.
Yeah, I mean, it's poor judgment, to go back to your point, in the evaluation and the developmental plan that was necessary for Richardson. Like, if you want to go back to April 2023. And, GMs, oftentimes, they can kind of have two paths that they can go down. Yes, we evaluate them to a degree on their draft success, but we also evaluate the black and white results, wins, division titles, playoff wins, Super Bowl appearances, that stuff. And, yes, typically it correlates, but it doesn't always correlate. And I think San Francisco is an example of that. You look at Trey Lance, that was a wild miss by John Lynch and company. They drafted Trey Lance, I believe 3rd overall? And that pick turned out to be in a similar way to what Anthony Richardson's looking like. Where Lynch differs, though, from Ballard, 9 playoff wins, 5 playoff appearances, a couple division titles.
And a lot of other hits, too.
Correct. So, again, I guess I want to make it clear, just because you miss wildly on the top 5 pick, it's not the end-all, be-all. It's, in my opinion, it's a significant element to your resume, but you can, to your point, Jeff, you can make up for it in other ways. San Francisco's made up for it extraordinarily well. The Colts obviously haven't.
All right, let's take a look at what's available on the coaching carousel at this point in time. But the other question I want to address, too, in a moment, and we'll even ask Matt Taylor about it. But you had a great point. How would you rank the coaches in the AFC South right now, with Robert Saleh coming in to Tennessee and Liam Cohen completing his first year? We'll talk about that a little bit as we get ready to hear from Matt Taylor coming up top of the hour as well at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The gold standard for hair restoration, it is We Grow Hair Indie online. Very simple. WeGrowHairIndie.com. Northwest side, that would be the Pyramids, building number 2. Let's be honest, it's Friday. Weather looks awful. You're not really going to work hard today. So while you're perusing around the internet, why not make a stop? WeGrowHairIndie.com. You'll see some before and after pictures that are available to you up there. They explain the results. But, I obviously had questions more than just, the results look great, but, what's the process look like? Now I really sound like a coach here. We're very process-oriented. I guess that makes sense. I do care about the process. And Darren Andrews and his staff informed me of that process, championship-like process, in my opinion. So those are some of the questions I had. I'm sure you've got them as well. So, again, contact WeGrowHairIndie.com today or online. It is, or I should say up at the Pyramids. That is building number 2. They are the best in the business. A free evaluation awaits, a private evaluation awaits, a virtual evaluation awaits. We Grow Hair Indie, the gold standard for hair restoration.
So baby, give me that, and let me give you that. Running her hands through my fro, bouncing on 24s. Why they say on the radio?
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Mark, I like this. What is this? I don't know this one.
R. Kelly, Ignition.
Dig it. Maybe more of the song more than R. Kelly.
I was going to say.
He had some issues, man.
That's probably maybe the smartest statement you've made in the history of the show.
Song still holds up.
It's a love
song. Great song, horrific human.
Yeah, there's no doubt about any of that. We were talking about head coaches a moment ago. You asked a great question during a break a couple of breaks ago, James. If you had to rank, and I'll ask you, Kevin, on behalf of that question, if you had to rank the head coaches in the AFC South with the addition of Robert Saleh in Tennessee now, how would you do it?
Liam Cohen, DeMeco Ryans, Shane Steichen, Robert Saleh.
Would you put Liam Cohen ahead of DeMeco Ryans?
Yeah, I was pretty impressed by what Jacksonville did this year.
Yeah, it was nice. They did a nice job. And I guess with Robert Saleh, we just don't know yet. He had the disaster year at the Jets, which I don't know how much of that was his fault, but he's still kind of, as a head coach, I would say kind of unproven, right?
He is. I would flip the top two, Kevin. I'll put DeMeco Ryans at number one, with Liam Cohen at number two, mainly because I've seen some sort of sustained success with the Texans.
That's fair.
3 straight playoff berths, 3 straight playoff wins in each of those years. I know C.J. Stroud looked rough, but that defense is legit. I think that DeMeco Ryans has kind of changed the narrative about still a relatively young franchise. I want to say the Houston Texans might not even be 30 years old. So, yeah, that's how I would rank it. And I would put Steichen at number 3, Saleh at number 4. But I'm very curious to see what Saleh does with the Titans because they were a mess last year with Cam Ward. As we've talked about on these airwaves, Jeff, I feel like when you change the coach and the GM around the young quarterback, it doesn't always pan out very well for that quarterback. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how it plays out. But for the Colts' sake, they better not gain any ground because if you're looking up at 3 teams in the AFC South, boy, playoffs, you ain't making that.
Well, to both of your points in a different way, look at what Liam Cohen has done his first year, Kevin, with Trevor Lawrence. And the scary part, if you're in the AFC South, is has he, and Trevor Lawrence was coach after coach, offensive coordinator after offensive coordinator after offensive coordinator. He couldn't get any stability there, right? Going all the way back to Urban Meyer. But now with Cohen there, how scary is it that he's turned the corner and is going to become the quarterback we all thought he was going to be under Liam Cohen?
Right. Yeah, I think that's a very real combo. And you know what? They had, a really impressive season in what Travis Hunter barely played. Could he, if he stays healthy for next season. It is kind of funny, and I guess it's not that obvious. We probably do this naturally with any decision we make. But, when you see coaching hires across all sports, college, pro, almost every time it's an absolute 180 from the previous person. And just live in our little college bubble for a second. Okay, Tom Allen, first-time head coach. Oh, Kurt Cignetti had how many head coaching years before that? Go up to Notre Dame. Brian Kelly leaves. Marcus Freeman, whether it's youth, whether it's, again, resume. Look at these NFL head coaching moves. Kevin Stefanski in Atlanta. What side of the ball? Offense. Raheem Morris fired. Defense. Jeff Hafley in Miami. What side of the ball? Defense. What did they just fire? Offense. Mike McDaniel. Robert Saleh. Defense. Head coaching experience. Brian Callahan. Offense. New York. Brian Daboll. First-time head coach. John Harbaugh. You just see it everywhere with all. Jesse Minter, if you want to play that. Young versus old. It just, you don't typically see oh yeah, we just hired the defensive-minded head coach, and now we're going to hire the other defensive-minded head coach. It's always a 180.
And the Colts did the same thing. Go back to Shane Steichen and who
definitely younger. Obviously, offensive side of the ball for Frank Reich and him, but definitely younger. You can look at what Josh McDaniels was supposed to be after Chuck Pagano. Again, defensive head coach.
Well, you've covered some wild moments. Yeah. What Josh McDaniels was supposed to be left you at the altar.
Yeah, fellas,
I hope it never happens to me on wedding day.
I know. I always think about that. What was wilder, Josh McDaniels, that news, or the fact, Mark, that Jeff Saturday was on our show the day that he was then hired 90 minutes later to be the interim head coach?
Still the wildest time I've ever had off the air because all of a sudden my phone exploded and what? Did you know? I'm like, no, what? And I'm like, oh.
And if I remember correctly, Mark, that morning we had him on late.
That's crazy.
Like usually he did the show early. That was like a 9:30, right?
Yeah, he texted me. He's like, "Hey, can I bump it back to 9:30? I had some stuff come up." Stuff.
Again, you have covered, I feel like, 10 different lives of this Colts team, Kevin.
And don't we have a McDaniel storyline here, right? He was a part of the New England staff that drafted Jarrett Stidham.
Yep.
Yes.
And now he is the OC for Drake May. And now Jarrett Stidham, of course, is the Denver.
Trying to beat his former team.
Sorry, Corbin. Are we banding together with Jarrett Stidham? Is this like a cute underdog NFL story? Are we there? We don't get this very often in pro sports. This is kind of a, I don't know, Jeff, I'm not trying to pander to you as the Broncos fan, but it's kind of a cool story, is it not?
This may be fandom speaking. But as bummed as I was that Bo Nix went down, because there's something to him. His fourth quarter, he's got a little magic in the fourth quarter. And that's because the defense always keeps him in games. They never seem to play well in the first three quarters, and then they just come on fire in the fourth quarter. I feel okay about Jarrett Stidham right now. Am I like supremely confident? Like, oh, they're going to go out there and roll?
Put a percentage on it.
I think the Broncos are going to win a close football game.
That's the fandom speaking.
And I do think, I think either way, I think this comes down to the fourth quarter.
I have no faith in Jarrett Stidham. So I'll put that out there. Hopefully, maybe I'm eating crow next week, but
put that to the side. James, Mark, do you guys care? Like, do you think it's a cool story, or are you like, yeah?
As a football fan, as soon as Bo Nix went out, I'm like, I don't want to see the Broncos in the Super Bowl. I don't want to watch a backup quarterback in the biggest game of the year.
Unless he performs like Nick Foles. But if the drop-off is going to be significant, nah, man, I want to see the best of the best go at it.
That was the best troll job last week, though, from Nick Foles. Hey, Broncos fans, don't get too down. Patriots have a history of losing to backup quarterbacks in championship games.
I mean, we'll see if Stidham can rekindle some magic there.
We'll find out. I think the defense is good enough to keep them in there. I think there is mile-high magic, so to speak. It's tough to win out there, but we'll see. And again, that's probably my fandom speaking. But Matt Taylor joins us next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
ABBA's never gone away, but man, have they got a resurgence this past week. They're now top 15 worldwide for streams after Fernando Mendoza leads Indiana to a national championship game. And I'm just guessing our next guest has this on repeat on his Spotify, just playing Fernando over and over and over. Matt Taylor joins us now on the Payless Liquors Hotline, the voice of the Indianapolis Colts and one of the hundreds of thousands of top Indiana football fans. Happy Friday, Matt Taylor. Happy championship week.
Heck yeah. Yeah, they played, they had We Are the Champions by Queen, and then the confetti is flying. And then what felt like, maybe a minute or two after that, here comes ABBA playing in Hard Rock Stadium. And I don't think anybody knows the words of that song, but they certainly know the chorus. And that was absolutely electric. You just watching that scene unfold and then building the stage and then them playing that song. And then you've got, what felt like, it was 2/3 IU fans there. So whatever that equates to out of a, 66,000 seat stadium, just all in chorus, singing ABBA of all things, but in celebration of the quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, who made the most epic run I've ever seen in a big-time college football game, and it happened in the end zone that we were in, and just let's just say the folks that I was with, my dad and my brother and my sister-in-law, we were going absolutely crazy. It was awesome.
So compare the Fernando Mendoza 4th and 5 run for a touchdown to Andrew Luck at the goal line against the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs.
You know what? As soon as I saw that play, right, because he had his back to me, Mendoza, that is, as he's diving in, he's got his back to me, so I see the back of his jersey, but then I'm peeking through the play and through a couple of Miami defenders, maybe a linebacker or a safety. I see him extend the ball. And, Jeff, I swear that's the first thing I thought of. Like, that reminded me of the Superman play from the 2014 AFC wildcard game against the Chiefs. Like, I swear that I had immediate flashbacks to that. I'm like, those two plays are going to be synced up forever. And, social media being what it is and people being so good on the spot, like as soon as I'm walking out of the stadium, people are sending me texts and memes just comparing those two plays side by side. Two Superman efforts, no pun intended, to get a team a huge win in a big-time moment. It was spectacular.
Matt Taylor, congrats to you. Congrats to your father. He was definitely somebody I thought about there, in the immediate aftermath of that game. When I think about, legit IU football fans that have been around for a long, long time. So I'm sure that was quite the moment for you, just fandom moment, which I know is not something maybe you get to have as many of them here recently. Set the scene for us. When did you get down there? What was pregame like? What was the game like? I want to hear it all.
Well, just a quick story. I mean, like you said, I don't get to be a fan too often, so I'm really not. I wasn't privy to the whole. There's just a lot of logistics when you go to a big event like that. You got to figure out, okay, where's the stadium? What time should we get there? Where do we park? What's parking going to be? Are we going to have to walk a little bit? I mean, these are all things you have to take into consideration. Plus, if again, like I was telling you guys last week, if you know my dad, he's a planner, right? He doesn't leave anything to chance. He's got to have everything kind of mapped out. So when you go to a game with him, like it's basically boiled down to, you're minute by minute, this is where we're going to be, which is great because I don't want to have to think about those things because I'm not a planner and I'd rather just be told where to be. So it was great in that regard, but it made for a really long day. Like, I think he got spooked a little bit on traffic and Trump's coming in and all of these roads are going to be shut down and things like that. So we got to the stadium really early, but Hard Rock Stadium, it's kind of weird. Like there's a compound to the stadium so you can be in the grounds of the stadium without actually going into the stadium. So that's where we were. We kind of hung out in this like tailgating area on the grounds of the stadium. And we got there incredibly early just because of logistics, but we got there probably 3:00 in the afternoon. And that's a long time. That's a lot of hours to kill. I kind of felt like I was at an amusement park without the rides. There's like all this stuff going on. There's merchandise tents and food and things like that. But there's really, in the grand scheme of things, nothing to do but just kind of wait it out and kill time. So it made it for a really long day. And then, of course, you get into the stadium and you watch pregame warm-ups and all the pomp and circumstance. So I was kind of worn out. I had to kind of like find my second wind leading up to game time a little bit. But once the game started, it was awesome. It was epic. There was a lot of people watching and just a lot of atmosphere to soak up a little bit. And then, of course, the game goes the way it goes, and they win. And we walk back to the car, and, all the IU fans are euphoric and things like that. So we got back to our we stayed at like an Airbnb or a Verbo, and we got back to our place, I would say like 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. And we're kind of decompressing a little bit. And again, we're trying to map out, okay, what's the next day going to be? Are we going to get to the airport at this time? Just all these logistics. And I just said, stop. Just stop. Like, relax for just a second. I said, just realize what we just watched. Can we just take a second and reflect and say it out loud that Indiana University football, we were there to see it win a national championship over Miami, in Miami, right, with two-thirds IU fans down there. I mean, it's just incredible. And it's like I told you guys last week, the two things that I realized during this, the two biggest things I've realized during this run for Indiana football is, A, just how big of a brand Indiana athletics is, right? I knew it was, but it's even bigger than what I thought it was because of being so close to it, going to the Peach Bowl and the national championship. And then secondly, there used to be a ruling class in college football, and it no longer exists because of what IU just did and what they just proved, and just were able to send a message to the rest of athletics and society and college football that if you have the right people and if you have a plan and you are convicted in what you're doing, literally anything is possible with the right support. And boy, did they have support in terms of fans down in Miami. But yeah, we definitely had to like kind of take a moment when the dust was settled on the day and just reflect and say it out loud and, say it with a big grin on our faces, like Indiana University football are national champions. I mean, I remember watching the bucket game 2 years ago, 2023, against, no disrespect to Purdue, but a pretty average, mediocre Purdue team beat IU 31-28 or whatever it was, and thinking, I don't know if they're ever going to be able to figure this out. I don't know if they're ever going to be able to turn the corner. And that was just 2 years ago. So to think about it in that perspective is just, it's mind-baffling in such a great way.
One more on the IU front, Mayte, because I have this experience myself. But when you go to a game and you work in sports, and obviously it's a privilege, it is not a real job, as Kevin says all the time. But how much did you enjoy just going to the game and not having to work it and being a part of the fandom that perhaps made you want to pursue a career in sports?
That's just it, James. I think you hit it right, the nail right on the head right there. I mean, I talked about it last week, going to games with my dad, and I've probably been to over 100, maybe 150 games, most of them IU football and basketball games with my dad. And that's how we spent quality time together. And going to the game and talking about the game on the way home or listening to another game on the radio is what made me want to get into this. And so I have to give him all the credit for supporting that and sort of flaming that desire. But you're right. I mean, to be able to go to the game and kind of let my hair down a little bit and not have to worry about what times does the pregame show start. I have to read more clips and read more notes and organize and stay on top of things and, figure out how to get that extra edge on the broadcast, just to go there and not have to worry about those things. And don't get me wrong, those are great things to worry about. Like Kevin said, it beats working for a living because I've got the greatest gig in the whole world. But it is work and it is a job and there's responsibilities that come with it. So to go to a game and not have those, just to be a fan and soak it in and be there with Pops and just sit next to him and talk about the game and cheer with him over the game, it was incredibly special. And again, it's just added to the several other memories that I have with him going to sporting events and bonding over just competition and trying to see your team get over the edge, which they certainly did. It was magical.
That is so cool, and I'm glad you got to have that experience with your dad. That's terrific. Hey, from a professional standpoint, you call NFL games for a living. You watch teams come in and play every week. Who are the Hoosiers you like as NFL players moving down the road?
Well, I think they got a lot of them. You start with the guys along the defensive line. I think Kamara can play at the next level. I don't know if he's going to be a first or second day guy, but I think he's going to get drafted. Same thing with Aiden Fisher. He might be a day 3 guy, but I mean, he might be the most the top value pick in the NFL because of just how full of playmaking ability that kid is. I mean, if you draft him in the 5th or 6th round, you're going to get just an absolute steal, in my opinion. But just because of the position that he plays, he might slide a little bit. Obviously, Pons, obviously Mendoza, obviously Surratt, they're going to play at the next level. Cooper's going to play at the next level. I don't know if he's going to come back or not, but there's a chance that he might. But I think inevitably one day he's going to star in the NFL. And then guys that I think have a chance down the road, and I think, maybe Jamari Sharp. I think another, some of the safety members they have, Lewis Moore, I think, can play at the next level. I think Coogan can get drafted maybe on day 3. There's just a boatload of guys, and their kicking specialists are great. Maybe some undrafted free agents in the mix there as well. But, I mean, yeah, I think IU's got a chance to set the record for amount of guys in 1 year to go to the NFL, whether it's guys being drafted or signed after the draft as undrafted free agents.
Of course, voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor, with us here, Payless Liquors Hotline. Matt, I am thrilled to see, and this literally fits you more than anything. Do we have some trivia next week for you?
We do. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. So, yeah, if you don't mind, I could pub it up a little bit. So, I am going to be hosting Indiana Sports Trivia Nights in the off season, and we're going to start them up next week. So I came up with a game. I love playing trivia, and I love going to like bars and pubs to play trivia, but I don't like, I don't know the molecular makeup of boron, and I don't know the capital city of Turkey, right? So like I want to know. I basically came up with a game that I would want to play. I'm a sports guy, but I don't know who hit cleanup for the Dodgers in 2006. I want to play a game where it's my wheelhouse, and Indiana sports trivia is my wheelhouse because I'm from here. I'm paying attention to these teams, IU and Purdue and the Colts and the Pacers and Notre Dame and IndyCar and high school sports. So I basically put it all together, and we're going to do some Indiana sports trivia next week. So Tuesday night, we're going to be doing it downtown on Mass Ave at Tiebreakers. And then on Wednesday night, south side of the Mucky Duck, both nights at 7 o'clock. And, come play as an individual, come play as a team. We're going to have gift cards to give away, some Colts swag and some Colts signed autograph for prizes to the winners and things like that. So, yeah, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock next week. That's actually the night of the IU-Purdue game. So come hang out, watch the game on TV, play some Indiana sports trivia. That's at Tiebreakers Tuesday, Wednesday, Mucky Duck, Southside, both nights, 7 o'clock. And, it's going to be fast-paced. It's not going to drag. It's not going to lag, right? We're going to get you in. We're going to get you out. We're going to have some fun. It's going to take about an hour 15. I made the questions. I formatted the game. I got it set up for, 6 or 7 rounds, 6 questions a round, bada bing, bada boom, have some fun. And like I said, watch some sports while you do it. It should be a good time.
Let's go. Now, did you say this is something that will be not just these 2 nights? Because I don't know if my next week's schedule will work, but I got to be in the building for one of these.
Yeah, I think we're going to do them. I think hopefully it's a success and kind of take it around town a little bit. But we're starting with Tiebreakers. Those folks have been incredibly encouraging and welcoming, and they're all about it, and they're really supportive. So we're going to do it there, and hopefully it's a smash success, and we'll bring it back and continue to keep it going all off season, maybe a couple times per month. That's my goal at this anyways. And so, yeah, I've made the questions. We start out easy per round, right? So we got 6 questions per round. We start out pretty easy, pretty gettable. And then as we get to, questions 5, question 6, then they start to ramp up a little bit in terms of difficulty. First question is going to be worth 2. Second question is going to be worth 4 points, so on and so forth, all the way up to the 6th question worth 12 points. And we'll keep a tab and just have fun, man. Hopefully, you can get some office workers, bring a crew from work and form a team, or grab some buddies, some old high school guys and test your knowledge. That's kind of what I'm going for, and I think it should be a good time.
Ankara, if I'm saying that right, the capital of Turkey. What was your periodic table question that you dropped earlier?
Yeah, how many protons and neutrons are in boron? Like, I don't know, right? I mean,
that's got to be BO, right, on the table. Oh, wait, is it just B?
Oh boy,
it's just B. Okay, I'm seeing 5 in the upper left. I forget what that means. I'm seeing 10.811 upper right. So if we need bonus questions, we can throw that on there.
Yeah, that'll be the tiebreaker question. The atomic structure of boron.
We have never needed Grant here more than any time, man.
I feel like Rake and Jake, 2 of the listeners.
Well,
here,
Rake can't be allowed.
I was going to say Rake needs to be banned.
Rake can be the bouncer. He can be the bouncer.
Have his picture outside the bar. Do not let this man in.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like Mark Sanchez in some downtown establishments, that'll be the picture up for Greg Rakestraw at these establishments.
We went to a trivia contest once at a place where Blue was having Indiana trivia. And so I got Rake and Scott Johnston, and we were going to go over there and we're just going to destroy everybody. And he asked a bunch of Indiana-specific questions that none of us knew anything about. It was crazy.
Wow.
We got shut out.
Yeah. You guys are going to have to paper, rock, scissors to see who gets Greg Rakestraw on your team for this, right? Because
it's good to talk to you.
I've got some very specific questions, and I think there's probably 70-30 chance that he'll get them just because of how good he is.
I like it. Have fun with that, man. It's going to be a good time. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys sending that out there. So, again, next Tuesday and Wednesday, it's on my social media. Check it out, but I appreciate you guys more than you know.
Do you have to register, by the way, for teams, or you can just show up?
No, you just show up, grip it and rip it, Ted Marchibroda style.
Congrats, man. Tell your dad congrats.
Will do, boys. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
All right, buddy. There's Matt Taylor, the play-by-play voice of the Indianapolis Colts. You can tell he's still riding high from that.
One of the best humans, and he deserves that moment with his pops, as Kevin said.
I love it. Mark, let's do a quick check down here in the 9 o'clock hour.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by the Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships. March starts here. The Barbasol Horizon League Basketball Championships with NCAA tournament bids on the line. March 8th through 10th. Tickets and more at horizonleague.com/Indy.
One more big Indiana Hoosier football celebration coming up tomorrow afternoon at Memorial Stadium down in Bloomington. 1 p.m. the start as they open up the stadium, and they will honor the 2025 and I guess 26 Indiana Championship football team. The weather forecast says it's going to be really cold with temperatures in the teens. Hopefully, though, the snow won't get there until tomorrow afternoon later.
I'll talk to Mother Nature and tell her, hey, you owe us this one. See what she says.
All right, we'll check it out. I'll give you, if you're interested, I can give you the actual forecast for what's going on. But like I said, it's going to be in the teens. Snow, lots of snow Saturday night into Sunday. So that's what you're
Get those
looking
shovels
at
ready,
this
people.
point in time, right? Let's see what else we can tell you. Basketball tonight. I know there's a lot of great college basketball to watch tonight. I don't know about great, but good college basketball to watch.
Yeah, so we'll start at 6. IU at Rutgers.
I don't know about great.
And this, yeah.
Oh, very fair, Jeff.
This one probably falls into that category here. Again, I'm stunned that Rutgers has won 7 of the last 9 matchups between these two teams here. Indiana is actually a notable road favorite, like 7.5. Shows you where Rutgers is. So for teams on the bubble, IU at 6, Butler at 8. This is a night where you just have to hold serve. It's not going to be flashy on your resume, but it would look ugly if the result doesn't go your way in the resume. So IU at Rutgers 6, Butler hosting Marquette, who has fallen off a cliff this season. Butler, I think, a 6.5-point favorite. This is our checkered out night. Up there at Hinkle, Alexander Rossi, Arenas Vique, Lewis Foster, all in the building. I should say Louis Foster, all in the building tonight there at Hinkle. So, again, Butler, Marquette. And then tomorrow, we got Purdue and Illinois, 3 o'clock from Mackey. That should be an outstanding game. Really one of the games of the year so far in the Big Ten.
Am I allowed to talk trash again? Because, boy, last time I did that, it did not go well for your boy.
I think everybody around here would appreciate if you started to
Purdue
talk
fans
trash.
would probably love if you did that,
Let's
right?
go.
I don't know, man. I might be you're sitting that one out.
You got a little better bet with Illinois basketball. 8 winners of 8 straight, right, James?
I do have a much better bet. I did not know at the time that Indiana was one of the greatest teams of all time.
So when Purdue inevitably goes on this great run and they're going to the Final Four, I know you had candy stripe pants for Indiana. Will you be rocking a Purdue Pete head or anything like that?
Hey, you never know, man. You never know.
Let's get it going. Wife is on a girls' trip this weekend. I may just go to the Butler game tonight. Hang out at Hinkle.
Hey, why not?
Might do that. We'll check that out. Tomorrow, if you're looking for something to do, Fisher's Event Center, Kevin, might be the place for you.
Yeah, I'll throw one more in there for tonight. We got Pacers Thunder. Again, our coverage will begin at 7:30. Tip time is at 8 for that one. Big ol' underdog. No Benedict Mathurin. Still several guys out for the Thunder. Hartenstein, Caruso, and Jalen Williams. But yeah, tomorrow night, Indy Ignite, their home opener, the Omaha Supernovas. Really nice start to the year for the Ignite. And they had a great inaugural season for those that weren't totally following along. So went to the opener last year. Awesome atmosphere up there. So Fisher's Event Center, if you haven't been, cool venue. They got a lot of home games coming up here after tomorrow night. So you can definitely check them out in February and beyond.
All right, a lot of football coming up on Sunday. The New England Patriots, the Denver Broncos kick off at 3 in the AFC Championship game. And that one will be on CBS. And then on Fox later that night at 6:30, the Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. Mark and I were talking about this during the break. The Seahawks right now, they look nasty. They look like the team that gets into the postseason every year that's just firing on all cylinders, Mark. I don't know. They're the one team left that I'm like, ooh, who's going to beat them?
Well, if that defense shows up like they did last week, oh boy, it might be a long afternoon for Matt Stafford and company.
Legion of Boom 2.0 out there.
Yeah, but look, if there's one team, here's the other thing. If there's one team right now that I give a really good chance against Seattle, it would probably be the Rams, right?
Yeah, I trust Matthew Stafford. You always pick the great quarterback in the playoffs. Usually works out well for you.
All right, one other programming note. We will not only carry the celebration in Bloomington live tomorrow at 12:45, but one more chance to hear Don Fisher, Buck Schur, and John Herrick call the national championship game. We will air it at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. Kevin, you've been amazed at the number of requests I've gotten over the past few days to replay that. So we did it last night. We'll do it again on Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Maybe at some point, Mark, I would love to next week. Shout out to one of my former students, Ben Holler. He was on the play-by-play call for WIUX, the old station I got started at back in the day, on the student call. I thought his call of the Jamari Sharp interception was awesome. So maybe we can play that at some point next week. Speaking of the Hoosiers, no shock here, but I guess officially, Fernando Mendoza declares for the draft this morning. D'Angelo Pons yesterday. We'll wait Omar Cooper Jr. And if he returns, Nick Marsh, big-time transfer from Michigan State, Charlie Becker. It's quite the trio for Josh Hoover, but I think Omar Cooper Jr. would hear his name, James. I'm going to say Friday of the NFL draft if he were to declare. I think he is a round 2 or round 3 wideout.
All right. I heard that last call. He posted it on Twitter at WIUX. Great job.
Great job. Awesome job from Ben Holler.
That's the stuff that you look back on 10 years from now, like, man, I really did that.
Hell, Mark, maybe we can dial it up before the show ends. I think I sent it to you.
I think we can do that. Yeah.
I'll pull it up.
Head coaching check in the National Football League. We know John Harbaugh is in New York with the Giants, Kevin Stefanski in Atlanta, Jeff Hafley in Miami, Robert Saleh in Tennessee, and Jesse Minter now in Baltimore. You like that hire for the Ravens?
I guess so. I know that he was a Jim Harbaugh, I believe, disciple or something like that from the coaching tree. So we'll see if it helps. And certainly when you have a 2-time MVP at quarterback, It's not a bad job to take.
I mean, if you're a head coach, you had Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, like, I'll take either one of them, right? I'll take either one of those guys, right?
Absolutely.
Man, oh, man. You want to hear the call now or you want to wait till we come back, Kevin?
You tell me. Aren't we way over?
We'll take a quick timeout. We'll let you hear what's going on there, and then we'll start making our picks for the NFC and AFC championship games before the end of the show. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Morning, everyone. Getting ready for a weather kind of weekend. As a matter of fact, I told you I'd tell you what the exact forecast is. The key words, bitter cold, James. Bitter cold.
Are the kids in school today?
They are in school today. Yes.
All right, I was about to say, because back in my day, I had to walk up and down the street 10 miles both ways in the freezing snow, sleet, rain.
I saw something that said in 2025 you get a note that says school closed today because of excessive heavy winds. And back in 1985 it was, hey, heavy winds today. We're going to sit down in the corner and put books over our heads. Pizza will be served at lunch.
KB, I don't tolerate disrespect, brother. Just because your era is a little bit softer than mine. Hey, it is what it is. I'm just talking about what my experience was.
Today a high of 12, partly cloudy. Tomorrow a high of 13. Afternoon and evening snow showers. Sunday, heavy snow. Total accumulation 7 to 10 inches, they're saying. High of 16. Monday, partly cloudy and 13. It really gets warm on Tuesday, Kevin. 24.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I can't even keep a straight face. I'm trying to think of I never walked to school. I used to miss the bus, and then when I come back to home, my mom would be like, "You missed this bus, didn't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did." And she's like, "Well, you still going to school?" And get the scolding from mom and get to school on time. There you go.
Can't I just stay home and watch Price is Right?
I will say,
or Maury.
Kids are, oh Lord, now you're bringing back memories. My grandma had basic cable. Matter of fact, it wasn't even cable. It was just basic TV. So yeah, you got Maury or you got some kids show, but if you missed the wrong hour, there you have it. The last thing I'll say about the school thing is, the funniest thing about this to me is that the kids don't get the experience of having to watch the television to see if their school will pop up on the
C.A.
Beard.
C.A. Beard was the school always before Carmel Clay schools. So that was the one that
was the trigger
that I was watching. If we skipped and went to Center Grove, man, was I dog cussing.
Boy.
Mark Dykton, can we play this? Shout out to one of my students, Ben Holler. This 2024 class that I had, Zach Browning, Joe Cronin, Matt Byrne, Kylie Croman. Boy, I know I'm forgetting people. Will Foley. This class, did I say Joe Cronin? I think I said his name already.
Shout out Joe. Shout out Unc.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah, I forgot
Low
about
Uzi
that.
Vert called him Unc.
Yeah, Cruz Martin, Quinn Richards, Ava Wajenki. She was on the sidelines for a IU game earlier this year. Mason Williams covered the Magic for SI. He's now up, James, I think at your old paper, if I'm not mistaken, Northwest Indiana Times. So that class was incredible, but Ben Holler, who sat in the back, he was a diehard Reds fan. That's what I remember about Ben. And I remember getting his audio assignment, and it was incredible. I'm like, isn't that funny? Kind of like one of the quieter kids in the class, and then you get their audio assignment, and you're like, oh my gosh. This was the call. WIUX, the final play that mattered. Jamari Sharp's interception from Monday night. Ben Holler, the play-by-play voice.
A 1st and 10 for him at Indiana's 41. Ball on the near side hash, down by 6. 2 receivers to Beck's right, out of the timeout. 1 to the left. Fletcher on his left hip. The 6th-year senior trying to lead his team to the championship. Takes a snap and drops back. Deep throw out right. It's picked off. Jamari Sharp, the Miami man, has it. He's got it at the 5. Indiana's going to win it. There's some flags for unsportsmanlike conduct, but the final chapter to the greatest story college football's ever told has been written. From unnoticed to undisputed, Indiana national champions.
Outstanding work.
I gave you chills.
Outstanding
That was
work.
cold-blooded right there.
It was.
Baby.
It was
I literally
confident.
have hair on the back of my neck right now, standing up.
Yeah, it was confident, terrifically descriptive, no hesitation.
He let it breathe
Knew what he
for
was
a
talking
second.
about. He did it.
Oh,
He
boy.
did it perfectly.
Well, and Jeff, you know this full well with your play-by-play background. I mean, hell, you're still doing play-by-play now. You know, there is the element of like meet the moment emotionally, Gus Johnson-y, if you want to play that card, but also don't forget about AP. And when I say AP, I say Associated Press. Make sure you're just not screaming and yelling that you lose sight of your voice is all we've got. We don't know where he picked off the ball. We don't know if he's about to get tackled. Oh, flags are on the field. He knew right away.
He kept it all going. He didn't
for those
give it up.
flags. He tells us IU's going to win the game. That tells us everything that we need to know at that moment. And then, of course, the fact that he knew Jamari Sharp is not Aiden Fisher, D'Angelo Pons. He's not this top 5 guy on that roster. He knew the Miami native right away.
From unnoticed to undisputed,
It was a perfect call.
I thought
the final chapter to the greatest story college football's ever told has been written. From unnoticed to undisputed, Indiana national champions.
Ben Holler, go Reds. Unreal. Shout out as well. Nick Roadcap was on the sidelines, the Cathedral grad there. He was on the sidelines for WIUX. So really, really cool. And, obviously Indiana, Purdue, really a lot of our local schools, Ball State certainly does an awesome job when it comes to providing these opportunities. But that made me really, really proud to watch that.
That was really cool. I watched that. It came across my feed for whatever reason yesterday, and I thought, man, this is really good.
That type of stuff get you hired, man.
Now he's going to do play-by-play when the Reds win the World Series.
Hey, there you go.
Let's get it going.
But you know
Hey,
what's crazy,
later
though?
on.
Indiana football just won a national championship, Kevin. Why can't the Reds win a World Series soon?
Cue Kevin Garnett.
Are you going to abandon being a Reds fan?
No,
Are you
Mark,
gonna
shut the
abandon
hell up.
Following this team? Are you going
Go back to playing Brett Favre.
Mark, you can kiss my ass.
Just want to brace him.
Glad your
The
Bears,
impossible can't happen all the time.
glad your Bears aren't playing this weekend. James, what are you going to say before Mark rudely interrupted?
Real quick, I do think when you prepare yourself, you're able to meet those sort of moments, because I was reading about how yesterday was the anniversary of Kobe Bryant's 81-point game, and Bill McDonald, who is on the call now regularly for the Lakers, he actually filled in that day for their regular Lakers guy. He had done a bunch of like volleyball games, Division II basketball games, and he had helped out with the Lakers broadcast, but he got called in basically to pinch hit because the normal dude had to go call I believe, NFC Championship game that Sunday, because it was a Sunday game. And imagine filling in and your first game for the Lakers is Kobe 81-point game. So now when that gets replayed, you remember that call all the time for the rest of history. So my point is, when you prepare yourself, you never know what moments you're going to get, because that guy your student didn't know I'm going to call a national championship back in August, but preparing yourself for the moment, now you get to live in that moment forever.
Well, and if we can nerd out about the call for just a second, like, it's one thing to have the great punchline he has at the end.
Right.
Like, I'm going to guess Ben probably thought of that before the game, which is totally fine. But for me, when he meets the other unscripted moments, that's what truly stands out. Like, knowing Jamari Sharp was the Miami native.
Yeah.
Knowing the flag right away was going to be unsportsmanlike conduct. And I thought he set it up very well. Fletcher on the left hip of the 6-year senior. I mean, if Miami makes a play there, he's going to meet that moment. I mean, he set it up well. Of, oh, wow, Carson Beck, I kind of forgot about it. 6 years. So I just thought that was awesome. So Ben Holler, great work, man.
I would call that a complete
He also
call.
likes Mother Bear's Pizza, which I do as well.
No, that's maybe the most important part.
Most important.
Yeah. All right, coming up in a minute, we will get you ready to go for the AFC and NFC championship games. Championship Sunday is upon us. It's next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I love the fact that my social media feeds just have Indiana Hoosiers all over them with memes, and Fernando Mendoza last night on Jimmy Fallon. And you've seen that one, Kevin. Have you seen the one where Kurt Cignetti is like really kind of leaning over at different angles to see exactly where the ball is and what's going on? That's become a whole meme, and people are making things up. The latest I saw, United Airlines said, counting how many rows before the beverage cart gets to me.
Mark,
Stuff like that.
I still go back to when we brought that up a couple weeks ago
hilarious.
after the Rose Bowl. My favorite one, and a parent with young kids one day inspecting the car after the 16-year-old took it out the night before.
The one I shared last night on my Instagram said me checking people's items to see which line of the store is going to move the fastest.
Very good.
That's a fact.
Very good.
That's a fact.
I do like scanning them, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, it's the way to go.
I like seeing how great my hand-eye coordination is, a wrist. Maybe throw the kids in there for a scan or two.
But see,
They
sometimes
get highly entertained.
you get the people that have the less items, but then it's like the first time they've ever used self-checkout. Like, well, now what? I'm like, scan your card, lady. Let's get this moving.
Then they got alcohol in there, and
I'm not gonna lie.
That
I
takes
can't
5
remember
minutes.
the last time I went to the store, whether I was shopping for myself or even back home when I sometimes cook for my family. I don't go to the line that isn't a self-checkout. It's just what I do now. I feel like that's just an obligation. It's like muscle memory.
I hate how they have to ask to see your receipt afterwards. I'm like, you're having me do this job. Just trust that I'm doing it right. You put the power in my hand.
Now they're going to give you a review, too.
You 5-finger discount there.
You
Mark
do
Knight.
have the look of somebody that would.
These kids are hungry. There's 3 kids. They can't feed. I mean, yeah.
Hey, whatever you do, don't let my Nora get arrested. Daddy can stay in jail. We bonding her out.
Nora, is that Tostitos scoops I see under that jacket?
If you didn't get to stay up late and watch Jimmy Fallon last night, Fernando Mendoza was featured for a few minutes. He was terrific, as you would expect him to be. Jimmy had him breaking records. Literally, he would toss wax records up in the air, and Fernando would fire footballs at him and knock him out of
That's
the
awesome.
air. It was pretty cool. But then he was asked to explain the touchdown run.
Were you like, no one's open, I got to do this? Or what? So it's a running play, and I'm a quarterback, I'm a passer. So at first I'm like, okay, here we go. And I'm supposed to run left. And all of a sudden, some instinct tells me, let's run right. So it's like when you miss your exit on maps, and you're like, oh, shoot. Like, you're like, who? Oh, shoot, here we go. But luckily it was the exit to a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then like you said.
Legendary.
And then like you said, I saw these huge football players in front of me, and I was like a human pinball machine. I was like, boom, boom, bang.
Yes.
Getting banged up, and all of a sudden, I'm in the air. I'm like, might as well reach for the touchdown because I'm so banged up. I don't know if I'll be able to get up after. So
Yeah,
here
but
we
you
go.
did. And you got back up.
And we got back
And
up.
you scored a touchdown.
I would pay the price of a ticket to get into a game to watch the tape of his NFL interviews at the Combine. They're gonna be fired, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. He's going to have a huge media scrum. I probably will not be in that because Colts don't have a first-round pick and they're not drafting a quarterback, but there's going to be a sea of people, and probably a lot of your students, KB.
I wish he wasn't the number 1 overall pick, because then that means he would meet with more teams. And can you imagine him? I say like playing to his character, but that's just how he is. Can you imagine him doing that? Can you imagine being that happy, that excited, that like into it for 32 NFL teams?
I think it'd just be him being him, though, wouldn't it?
Oh, well, yeah. Again, I mean, this is not a character. It's not an act. This is literally who he is. Yeah, I saw his brother today, the little one, Max. I'm going to say Max Bone was named after Max Mendoza at some point. I saw he was on the Today Show. So sounds like Fernando's making the rounds there in the New York media market. And then I assume, Bloomington for one last time Saturday, and then off to train for the NFL. And who knows? I don't know. Maybe Tuesday night, that's their first home basketball game. Maybe they'll do one more thing there. Grab the mic. That probably is the only thing that'll get the team to.
What about a stop at the Indianapolis 500? Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I just curious at that point. You're into kind of the NFL world, and so how much of that? I think Kurt Cignetti for the pace car is a given, right?
And Kurt Cignetti behind the wheel of that thing.
I think Sig for the pace car is an absolute given there.
I trust him as my driver.
And then we've had the debate, for several years now about Caitlin Clark and does the Fever schedule allow for it? All those things.
Hey, well, we have some CBA, stoppage. Then, hey, Caitlin, come on down to the track,
Happy
please.
24th birthday to her yesterday, correct?
Yes.
Anybody else looking forward to rooting for and seeing how Alberto does at Georgia Tech next year? I hope he has a great year.
I think he will. Got a ring on the way out. Now it's time to start your own path. Get out of the shadows of your brother.
Will be interesting moving forward. These quarterbacks that were the backups at these schools, and then they get portaled out. Mendoza got signed over.
Mm-hmm.
Watching them at the other schools. And will we start to get any, obviously Georgia Tech's not playing Indiana, but can you imagine if, Georgia Tech, Indiana was a playoff matchup?
Oh.
Steve Angeli, Notre Dame, he competed for the Notre Dame job with C.J. Carr. He went to Syracuse. For those that weren't following Syracuse this season, he had a nice start and then tore his ACL. And Notre Dame put up 70 on Syracuse late in the year. Can you imagine that game for Steve Angeli if he got to face? That's kind of a interesting storyline.
It's Fernando against Miami.
Did I see the Miami kid, enter the portal, their backup, Emory Williams? So you go from a play away in the national title to, maybe going against your former team. It's kind of unique how the portal works.
And Fernando wasn't against his former team, but this is a kid that desperately grew up, wanted to play at Miami, and just was rejected all the way around. So it was a get-back game for him, too. So very quickly, guys, just got about 30 seconds here. New England, Denver.
Give me New England.
Patriots.
Yeah, I'll go Denver.
I'm just going to go straight Denver Broncos on this one. I'm probably going to be
shocked.
wrong, but I'm going there. L.A. and Seattle.
Rams.
Give me the Rams.
Seahawks.
Just announced college football playoff will stay at 12 teams for the next year.
It worked well. I will go Seahawks as well. Have yourselves a great weekend. Greg Rakestraw in for Jake Query at noon today. JMV at Rally House over on 82nd
stay warm.
at 3. Enjoy the day. Again, we'll carry the rally live tomorrow at 1 from Bloomington and replay the national championship game